All right, call to order Lapel Town Council regularly scheduled meeting for Thursday, August 20th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Lapel Lions Club. This time I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call.
Chad Blake.
Present.
Lindsay Washman.
Here.
Christy Workman.
Here.
Jeff Beck.
Present.
All right. Before we move on to the public comments and concerns, I want to welcome Jeff to the council. Recently caucused in to replace Councilman Shuck. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Let's have some fun. All right. Next on the agenda, public comment and concern. Anybody with any comment or concern, please come up to the podium and keep your comments to less than 3 minutes, please, personally.
My name is TJ Pinkerton. Live on Atlantic. I talked to William last time I was in. We talked about the drainage bill.
Mhm.
I talked to William, and he informed me that I was correct and that I will no longer be receiving that bill. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that because I did receive the one more.
We just put new batteries in it.
Yeah, it does. I'm continuing the legal review of that. Of all types of laws out there, I will admit the drainage board and county drainage board laws are the most complex that I have.
Sure. We're not talking about their laws. We're talking about the town ordinance.
Yes, and I believe you were being charged for both county and town, correct?
You're correct.
Yes, both of them are in play and just making sure that everything's valid. So we're continuing our review.
So we're not there yet. We don't have a decision yet.
Not quite.
So I'll receive another bill that I can ignore and get charged a late fee for? Is that what you're telling me? Another thing to not be refunded because you informed me that I probably wouldn't be receiving a refund. So I guess I have one question. My money, yes or no?
Based on my legal analysis, I think that they're two separate.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So we need to finish the first one first, and then we can talk.
Yeah.
Is that what we're done?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Next up.
My name is Dave Taylor. I used to live over here on South 4th Street, and I sold my house in November of 24. And when I did that, I went into the town council building or town hall and explained that I sold my house, shut the gas and stuff off, and left my forwarding address and phone numbers. And I have since tried to contact the clerk treasurer 5 times and with no response about the money from the gas that I overpaid here years ago that you guys got settled on. I just want to know where and how I can get my money.
Are you talking about the winter gas bill from, was that 2020 or 2019?
2020.
2020?
Yes.
Okay. That is not what was settled. We had a pre-existing lawsuit against the gas company for overcharging for transportation fees, which is the fee they pay, what we pay to get the gas from Oklahoma to Lapel. That is the case that had the settlement, and that was distributed as a credit to all residents until, when was that paid off?
March.
So there has been no settlement. The case with the IURC and the federal government for the overcharging from that winter event still has not made it onto a court docket or anything like that. So that is not what we received the payment or settlement for.
Okay, I have not received a dime, so you said that all
Current residents and customers was the agreement that we entered into with the gas company that we purchased from. So it had to be applied to a credit to all current existing customers. So whenever we started issuing that credit, if you were still here, you would have started receiving that credit on your bill at that time. As soon as you left, then that would have went to whoever the next resident of the house was.
I didn't wait till 24. And I never get any credit on any bill up to that point.
Teresa, explain how it went on the bill because it didn't show.
Started going back to the residents in November of 2024. So you would have got 2 months of it. It was done through the tracking factor. Our gas is tracked. Our gas transport is paid through a tracking factor in our software. So when it went to go be paid back, it had to go back to the address, not the actual resident, because it had to be done over a period of at least around 2 years. We ended up giving ours went back. I think it ended up being a year and 5 months total that it went back. I have record of those 2 months that you paid those bills of how much you did get credited back. But then whoever moved in your house afterwards is who got the credit back after you moved out.
How's that even right? When I came up and I explained to the person,
You weren't the only one that moved out, but that was the only way to take that credit and give it back was to the actual address, not to the actual customer.
but the address didn't pay it, the customer did.
I understand that, but
It wasn't a refund for past service. It was a credit for all of our purchases going forward. And we had to give that for the gas going forward until that money was exhausted, if that makes sense.
The money they cheated us out of that winter,
That is
that's
not,
not been settled yet?
that is not even made it to a federal court yet.
and when or if we get that money back, then it will go back to the resident that lived there at the time, as long as we can track
At the
you,
time.
which we can track you.
Say,
Yeah, it'll go back to the resident that lived there at the time.
Cause like I said, I've tried to get hold of you 5 times.
I know, it's been really hectic the last probably month.
Well, this started in about April,
Oh, okay,
so I don't know how many times I should have to call, but 5
and
times
my
is good enough.
apologies for not getting back to you. I still have your sticky note sitting right there on my desk. It's just been a little hectic.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello. Amy Egley. Just a quick follow-up question on that. You said it didn't show up on our bill. So can you explain the calculation? Because I actually did go back and look through my bill and my father's bill as well, and I didn't see anything that specifically showed a credit. So how would the town residents know that they actually received a credit at that address? If you could just explain that to everyone.
Yeah, all you have to do is call in. Matter of fact, I've had several people come in. If you call in and let me know you want to know how much you were credited, I've done a spreadsheet. All I gotta do is plug your numbers in for each month.
So
I
you
kept
couldn't
those.
have provided that to the people automatically without putting that burden on the residents to call in and ask about it? Normally, when you receive a credit towards your bill, it gets shown on a bill as a credit towards.
I don't
It's-
send our bills out. It's done by a third party.
And it's not a credit, it's a
Can I
discount.
request then on behalf of all of the residents, or do I need to get a petition signed on behalf of all the residents that each person received an itemized statement showing their credit amounts and what they received, because it was not put on our statements?
Again, it's not a credit, it was a discount on the gas that was
That's okay.
received.
It was still a discount, and so each of us were receiving a reduced rate, right?
Mhm.
And so that should have been reflected on our bill instead of just an automatic increase where all of a sudden people are wondering, oh my gosh, my bill is like 180, and then all of a sudden it jumps up and it's like, oh my gosh, my bill's 240. I wonder why. And then we have to call you for answers when you should proactively be putting that on your website and putting that out there as public knowledge and providing that to each resident directly. That's normal practice, and I don't understand why that didn't occur. That is not my responsibility to come to you as a resident and say, can you please provide me with a spreadsheet of my discount that I received? So I just think that that's such a hassle that every resident here in town would need to come in to town and say, hey, I need to fill out a form, and I need to request, or I need to make a call to Teresa and waste her time. Like, when you could have just made an itemized summary for each resident and mailed it out and said, here you go. And now all of us are now wondering, because now you said it didn't show on the bill, and again, because of your past actions, a lot of people don't trust you. And do you understand why we keep coming around the same mountain? I think that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. So I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to get you to understand that all of you keep making the wrong decisions when it comes to transparency and honesty. And that's how we are here today. And you can choose differently and you can choose better. And I really, really hope that you do moving forward. Please figure out a way to make it right. You are our treasurer and our clerk. That is on you, and that's your duty as our council. You work for us. We don't work for you. At the end of the day, you're supposed to be in service. We should not have to hound you. I shouldn't have to file a petition and take you to court and waste everyone's money, your time, your money, questioning you when you could just be honest at the end of the day. But I digress. Just start being transparent. I would like to know, and my father would like to know, and every resident in town would like to know. So if I need to write that out on behalf of every resident that can't be here right now, or can't tune in, or didn't get a post, or didn't see it on social media, because that's always the excuse, let me know. I'll go door to door. I shouldn't have to. Please be better. Have a good night.
Anyone else? All right. No presentations tonight, so we'll move on to new business. First item we have is MCOGS and our Title VI implementation plan. Do we have anybody here? Come on up to the podium.
Good evening, I'm Bruce Nuri. I'm a transportation planner with Madison County COG. I'm here in place of Brett, who couldn't be here today. And I'm introducing the 2026 Title VI implementation plan for the county of Bell. So Title VI requires public programs and services to be administered without discrimination based on race, color, or national origin, as well as other areas such as limited English proficiency, disability, age, sex, and so on. This plan is the first step in incorporating those requirements into the town's operations. The Title VI plan identifies a Title VI coordinator, Teresa, who is responsible for overseeing the town's compliance program. It also establishes a complaint and grievance process for individuals who believe they have experienced discrimination, including procedures for reviewing and addressing complaints. This includes a complaint log, which needs to be kept and updated every year in the document. It also suggests a public participation survey to evaluate the need for language assistance for individuals with limited English proficiency, and procedures for providing that assistance. Finally, it establishes an annual work plan, otherwise known as the Goals and Accomplishments Report, which should be updated and submitted to INDOT every year. The 2026 accomplishments include identifying the Title VI coordinator, developing and adopting the plan, and modifying employee training and monitoring. Future goals include training employees, publishing the grievance and complaint policy, maintaining compliance procedures, and conducting an annual review of the plan. And with that, I'll open the floor to your questions.
Yeah. Okay, when we first talked to you guys about doing this project, and I think you actually even came back and then edited your proposal and came back to us the second time because it was so expensive. And while we understand that it was something that was necessary, it was expensive. This portion, this Title VI plan alone was $3,250 of that cost. I'm really disappointed with the quality of it, and I'll explain to you why. the contact information is incorrect. We have Teresa as the clerk treasurer as the end compliance officer with the town manager's email, so it doesn't have a correct email. The utility, Brandon's listed as the utilities director. Is Brandon or we're listed as having a utilities director. Is Brandon the utilities director?
Brandon's a utility manager.
Okay, so that needs to be corrected in the org chart. The processing complaints section, we do not have a board of public works or a mayor. Under complaint policy, paragraph 4 and paragraph 6 keeps referring to us as a company instead of a town. The 60-day response window needs to be added to the processing claims portion. And then there's a typo in the employee acknowledgement and the board members on the resolution are incorrect. So here's my issue. I think that what happened was that we probably took something that had been prepared for someone else, changed some information, charged us $3,250 and handed it back. And I'm a little bit concerned about that given the amount of money we're getting ready to spend for data collection and the rest of the process. So I've got to tell you that I'm not entirely comfortable adopting this until it's corrected because I just think it's really kind of messy and I'm really disappointed with this as being the output. In addition to that, I have some concerns because if we have adopted one of these plans in 2013, the employee or the audience participation survey started to go into these plans in 2010, and it requires us at every meeting to provide the survey and to request that the audience voluntarily participate in the survey. And we haven't been doing that, which would put us out of compliance if that's actually in our 2013 plan. Being out of compliance is concerning if we're accepting things like OBRA grants, which are federal funding. And then lastly, I would say that part of the acknowledgement that we have to incorporate in every contract going forward says that we will run ADA compliant facilities, such as our town hall, which still doesn't have an ADA compliant bathroom. So I respectfully request that the town council consider using some of the money from the GO bond that we are still paying, that we're paying interest on, that is sitting in a fund not being used, that was designated, if I'm not mistaken, for renovations, to update the bathrooms to be ADA compliant so that we don't end up in a problem down the road when we want to apply for further federal funding. And I understand that we're going to have a budget workshop, and I think maybe that's the time to have that conversation. But I'm putting it out there because I know that there's been some thought process that we can't do it all, we shouldn't do any of it. And unfortunately, I just think that's just unacceptable. Right now, we're not even compliant for our employees. If we want to hire a town manager that has a disability and can't go down the stairs to the bathroom, we can't because we don't have an appropriate place for them to work. All right, sorry, that's my thoughts. Hope I didn't come off as too cranky about it, but that was a disappointment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those things will be corrected when we bring it back to you next meeting.
Thank you.
I had a question real quick. Has that been passed before, that version? You said it's been, that has to be done every year, right?
So our last one was done in 2013.
Okay.
So part of this is they recently had a large change in the rules and regulations, which caused most of this to have to be updated. So yes, this is a completely new, forget the old one. This is the new one going forward that obviously needs some fine tuning and revision. So, all right, Mr. Cutshaw, CDS Engineers.
Good evening, Dan Cutshaw with CDS Engineers. See, you've got the check up there. I want to talk a little bit about that project. The town did get awarded $750,000 from Okra. Most part, thanks to the town for putting that together, especially Mike Kleinpeter, who was next. He had a huge part in it to get this grant. And just a reminder, this is mostly sewer lining. It will be non-disruptive, non-excavating type of work unless we find something we can't line. And then we will be digging something up and we'll be coordinating with Brandon on that. And we have to do that. The schedule on that, we gotta wait on release of funds, which is gonna happen more than likely sometime in October. So we'll advertise in October for bids. There's about 2 to 4 companies that do this kind of work in the state of Indiana, so we hopefully get at least 2 bids. We'll open bids in November and then issue notice to proceed and award in December, and then probably start January, February, March. And the project will probably only take about 3 to 4 months. And then we'll be done.
Very good.
Questions?
I actually do have questions. I have questions with relation to the next piece, which is also Klein Peters administration contract and how that fits into your engineering piece. It sounds like the way, when I read this contract, it almost sounded like you were gonna do the design of the project and they were gonna administrate everything else. Is that right? Or are you gonna oversee construction?
No, so Mike's contract is totally separate from ours. We work with Mike in terms of getting the contractor paid and us paid. And they're heavily coordinating all that payment stuff. And Mike can explain it probably better than I can when he gets up here, but we're already under contract. I think it was signed back in
That's what I thought.
last fall.
Mhm.
We're actually pretty much done with the design work. We're ready to go to bid. So during construction, during bidding, we'll do all the bidding. And we will do construction admin, so we'll take care of the contractor. We'll verify all the quantities and sign off on the pay apps. And we send those to Teresa and Mike, and they send it over and they get paid. We will also have a part-time inspector here, not all the time, because they don't really need somebody here watching the pipes heat up and there's nothing else going on. But they'll be here probably once every day just to check on things. If we've got to dig something up, he'll be here a little longer, but that's already under contract as well.
So that, I guess that's where I'm confused because many of those things sound redundant many of those things sound redundant in Klein Peters' contract, and I want to make sure that we're not paying double the administrative costs if this is something that one of you can handle.
Which section of the contract are you concerned about?
So for example, 1.3 indicates that you would assist with pre-bid meetings, verifying subcontractors to the state, assist with bid opening, but that sounds very similar to what he just described he would be doing, so.
Yeah, so I can explain. So the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs is a federal grant. They have a certification program you've got to go through to administer their grants. We are a certified grant administrator. We are required to attend that pre-bid meeting. Dan will also be at that meeting. Regarding labor standards, that is something you do not do. That's where we check certified payrolls that come in weekly on the project. We have to verify that the fringe benefits that are being paid are appropriately, and that is a requirement of OCRA. I don't believe you guys don't do that. Verifying the contractors in SAM.gov, that's something we do because SBOA is going to ask you guys for that during your audit, so we do that on your behalf. I don't think you guys do that. So I think 1.3, we don't have any overlap.
Okay. I just want to make sure
Yeah,
this
no,
is
I
my
get it.
first infrastructure contract, and I want to make sure I understand
Yeah.
what the actual overhead is. So what is the actual admin expense here? I know there's 70,000 on your contract for your oversight on making sure we're compliant with what the government's wanting for this grant.
Correct. Sorry.
And yours is separate, and that's a contract we already signed in the fall.
Yeah, ours is separate. No, ours primarily is making sure the contractor is doing what he's supposed to be doing and follows the letter of the specifications that we prepare.
Okay.
And coordinating his schedule and our inspector schedule. It's more on a technical nature. And
Okay.
So
Mike's doing the financial.
if I can, what's the overall cost total for the project?
$3,050,000.
So ultimately what it is, Dan is responsible to manage everything except for the grant money. Mr. Kleinpeter has to manage the grant money and make sure every nook,
That we
cranny,
meet all the
left, right,
requirements. Okay,
high.
that's what I wanted
That's,
to understand.
it's that separation.
Okay,
He makes sure the whole project gets done. Client Peter makes sure that the grant is followed so they don't go, no, you broke the rules, give us back our money.
okay,
We don't do the same thing.
okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. I just want to make sure I
Yeah,
understood.
we
All right,
don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I
They get to
figured.
hang out.
Okay.
So,
Question?
any other questions on the project? So, this is just the reminder part. So what percentage of our sewer lines is this project lining?
Not very much. It's one area out of 5, so it's about 20%.
About 20%.
It's probably a little less
And it's the 20% that was identified as
bad.
bad based on all the flow
Well,
testing and
One of the bad.
one of the bads.
The other 5 aren't much better.
So,
And you said you hope to gain 15% capacity?
No, not 15%. Probably 5 to 10. It just depends. It'll help during peak flows. Your normal flows will still remain the same. But when you average your MROs to the state, they look at peak as well. So it will help on the peak flows.
I would imagine we had some interesting peak flows recently.
I'm sure you do.
I had a question real quick. So you mentioned 3 to 4 months to complete once you start January, you said?
It'll depend on the contractor. They can do this work during the winter. Now they won't be doing it when it's 0 degrees, but they can do a lot of this work during the winter.
On the section 4.1, I think is time for performance. I think it is. It says from the date of last signature until the completion of the projects, the time for performance. Sounds pretty open to me. Is there any way we could tighten that up a little bit, maybe? And
Sure. With the Ochre grant, I'm, as you know, I'm in this project for a long time. And I'm happy to put whatever date you want there, but typically you have, it's until the Ochre won't let me bail out of this project. You know what I'm saying? So
are we tied up once we get into Ochre, right? So we can't apply anymore until that project's done, right?
So that you can apply for another grant as soon as you sign construction contracts.
Okay.
So as soon as you sign construction contracts, which we're looking at bidding in October, don't let me get off track here. I want to tell you one other thing while I'm thinking about it. We're looking to bid in October. You heard him say final design is near complete. So you might ask yourself, why aren't we going to bid sooner? Like, what are we waiting on? Once you're awarded a grant, the state has to send a contract to Chad to sign between the state and you guys. It takes about 45 days to process. I also have to run some ads in the newspaper, just doing a final notice to the public that we're receiving federal funds and we're going to be doing this project. So that timeline is rolling. So that's what's holding us up from going out to bid on October 1st. I wanted to make sure you guys knew that. But what was your question again? I'm sorry.
No, I just wondered, I think I read if you have an open grant and if we're missing deadlines, we can't reapply for any more Ochre.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So Ochre's rules are you can have multiple grants at a time. You just gotta get one. You've got to bid it out and sign construction contracts. So in this case, if we're looking to go out to bid early October, open bids in the November meeting. In December or January, when we sign those construction contracts, we're then eligible to go after another project. Could be stormwater, could be fire station. I'm just throwing some programs out there. I don't know what the council has lined up.
Sure.
To the annex, utilities to the annex that were promised 13 years ago.
And that's why I was asking some of those questions. You know, I was just doing through some of your guys' prior projects, Lynn, Clay City, stuff like that. There've been some delays, and I don't want to delay the town when we're tied up. We can't keep progressing it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We need it. So.
And there is a time frame on the overall project when you have a grant. It has to be done in X amount of
a
months.
year.
So
Is what it's supposed to be doing. Now, both those projects you mentioned, they did run into some hiccups, and I'd be happy to talk about them and what they were. It wasn't us though.
I didn't see it.
It wasn't us though.
It never is.
Hey, No, well,
Always the contract.
it's the contractor or the engineer, not us.
It's never the engineer.
Never the issue.
One thing I would point out, section 5.9, you have the address for the town hall incorrect. You have 825 North Main Street.
Oh, about the old one.
Yeah.
You know why it's that one? I'll be honest with you, because I charged similar fees that I did on the old one.
That sounds like, I think you said we got a deal, I think is what that means. All right.
In case anybody wondered if we actually read these things before we vote on read them.
All right. Are we done with Dan questions so we can move on to Mr. Kleinpeter officially? They can trade positions at the podium.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, your official turn, Mr.
Yes,
Kleinpeter.
so good evening, council and public. First, congratulations on the Okra grant. They only awarded 10 water, wastewater projects in the state. We were one of those, so congratulations. This, we get a lot of accolades because we're the grant writer, but it's a total team effort. It takes the engineer, it takes the town, it takes the public filling out those online surveys. So this was not done just by us. It was a total team effort. So I want to take a minute and thank everybody. Before you tonight is our contract. It's very similar to you've seen in the past. It's for grant writing services. We always write the grant up front. We don't charge the town a grant application fee. There's a lot of grant writers that do. We're fortunate enough that we get a lot of grants funded, and we don't charge application fees because if we don't get funded, we don't want to bill you for services and you got nothing out of it. So we don't charge grant application fees, but Okra requires you have a grant administrator. Okra allows for the fees of the grant administrator to be paid out of the grant funds. And so our fees match that of what Okra allows. You guys are not paying these out of grant funds in full disclosure because you had enough local match funds in the project, and that if we would have paid out of grant funds, we'd have to go through procurement, and there are additional costs that the town would have had to pay to do that. But our fees are in line with what's reasonable for Okra. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the contract or what it is.
The good news, I think we covered it a little bit there in the previous section. It's the administering the grant and making sure we stay compliant with Okra in the state. So,
So we'll have two sets of eyes on pay apps before they get to us.
Yep. And that's been with every grant process. We've had that in the past. So
They seem pretty in line with the other that's why I mentioned they seem pretty in line with other townships, municipalities,
So, and this is not.
No, you're
related to-
fine. Go ahead.
This is just a general question, just something to think about. We've not had good luck the last couple rounds. Have we sat back and identified where we can change the way we are overseeing this to make sure that we have better luck next time?
So if we're looking at our last project, the biggest issue there was, when somebody bids a project, they're signing a contract with you that says, I can do that job. And the last project, the vendor that bid it maybe bid off more than they could chew. And there was litigation involved that eventually got the project done with some changes that did not cost us anything extra. But they did have to do a lot of extra work that they originally weren't going to do. But so at the end of the day, one of the issues that we always deal with in government is that lowest and most responsible bidder. Anybody that bids this project they have to meet the pre-qualifications of the state, and they have to have a track record of not having issues, because if they do have those issues, they could lose their pre-qualification. So ultimately, there's that trust level that between Dan and his team, the additional supervision that he talked about bringing in, having our team in the construction meetings, to help make sure that the thing goes forward. Now, this one being a little less invasive, it should be a little harder theoretically to go wrong, but that doesn't mean it doesn't still need the level of oversight that, you know, we as the town and Dan and Mr. Kleinpeter will be involved in.
And maybe this is my just being new, but when you talk about, you know, the person that has the lowest bid or whatever can't have previous issues, and I know a little bit about that industry, and I know that previous vendor had plenty of issues. Do we not have an opportunity to vet the person to say, no?
I don't think so.
Go for it.
Ultimately, your engineer is gonna make a recommendation. Your engineer is the one
Okay.
that checks references. Your engineer is the one that usually talks with legal about that. I don't have a part to play in that, just so you guys know. Whatever their recommendation is kind of.
And they were
I think
not
that's
our
accurate, Dan. Do you
engineers.
That
agree?
is accurate. We also asked for a questionnaire to be filled out. And we asked them for references on past jobs, bank references, bond references, all kinds of things. And we check them out before we recommend awarding a contract.
Right. We have to choose the lowest and most responsible bidder. So if there is a history with a vendor and they don't quite pass the sniff test, even if they're the lowest price, we do not have to go with them. We can go with a different vendor if they are determined to be the more responsible.
And just for the public's sake, the last two projects, CDS was not our engineer.
Correct.
That is correct.
That is
All right.
very
I just want to
correct.
make that clear. They were not our engineer.
Very correct.
Can I just ask a brief question?
Sure.
As someone that works in the construction industry, is there any way to put a contingency on the trade partners and contractors? We do it all the time, to where if they are not completing to the standard of the contract, for every, like, if they're behind schedule, they start losing out. And if, like, they are not done by their scheduled time and they only get a certain payout per month, and
Yep.
they have to stay on schedule to receive that payout, can that be
That's-
structured
that
and
is-
written into the
We will
contract?
structure that. We will have time. There'll be, when we award it, he'll only have a certain amount of time to complete the job. If he misses that day, there'll be liquidated damages of $2,000 a day, every day it's late. And that comes off the retainage. And we hold 10% up to 50% or total 5% for the whole job. So typically, if they're late, we've got enough money we're holding in retainage to cover that late fee that they owe.
Right.
So can we request just to put a little oomph behind it, or are we allowed to request 15% repayment? Is there a reason why not?
State law.
So, and that was,
Does it have to be, can we get the max then at 10?
We can do 10 up to 50% of the job, and then it goes to 0. By the end of the job, it's 5.
And the reason for that is you have the option of doing 5 throughout the whole job. But then if something happens in the beginning, you don't have as much built up. So if you have a contractor you don't feel real sure about, you do have the option of 10% holding more upfront on them, up to 50%, but then you gotta drop it down to 0.
Sure. No, I know
So
how
that's
it works. I'm just
that's the
asking
two options,
if
just
we
for
can-
everybody to
Can we
understand.
write that?
with
It's-
it'll be in the, but we had that with the previous water. And ultimately what happened, their fine hit an amount where it was cheaper for them to do more work than it was for them to pay the fine. So, I mean, the teeth was in there. Like I said, it went through the process. It just, it was super fun the whole way. So,
I think just from an outsider's perspective, and I may not be, I'm going to preface this by saying it may not be a fair assessment, but as an outsider's perspective, I think that failed at the moment of selecting the contractor. And that's why I asked if this was something that we had kind of assessed and had a different plan, or maybe we're going to look a little closer next time than.
I don't disagree with
There's-
that. I actually was looking at that too, about engineering, the ones I mentioned, the ones that have been delayed in other cities.
There's a reason Mr. Cutshaw's here now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I-
feel a lot
yeah.
better.
And those delayed projects you mentioned, I'll just point out, neither one of them are Mr. Cutshaw.
All
Just so
right.
you guys know.
I got a question if I can ask. There's been a couple different dates kicked around, 4 to 6 months, and then I believe you had mentioned a year. So are we talking a year as the date cap for this quote unquote penalty?
No, it'll be shorter than that. We'll look at the total amount of lining, and we do an estimate about how many they can do a day, how many feet they can do a day, and we'll usually double that. They sometimes won't get started right away. It won't be a year. We'll probably give them, on this kind of job, 180 days or 210 days to do the work. That's the 6 to 7 months. That's probably what we'll give them. It won't take them that long as they get in and do the work.
So does that penalty come in at that 6 or 7 month mark that you're quoting here now?
Yes.
And then back to the bids, you mentioned that you're hoping for 2. Can there be a minimum amount of bidders?
No,
There's nothing that can be said that if 2 is the max or 2 is the min? I mean,
no, it's public bid. Sometimes we get 1 bidder. Sometimes we get 10.
if we have 1 bidder, is it still 2 as a minimum no matter what?
Nope.
Really?
No.
Doesn't that open you up for these numbers to be skewed quite substantially?
Well, it could, but usually the bidder does not know he's the only bidder. Because he has to sign a non-collusion agreement as part of the bid. And so he can't be talking to the other bidders saying, hey, you're not bidding? Oh, well, then I can bump my number. He can't do that.
Is it a 1 bid? I'm not able to revise as well.
You don't revise the bid once you get it. It's set in stone. Now you can change order certain things, and we're gonna have, the bid will be on a unit price basis. And so there'll be some that, maybe we run out of money and we don't do a street or something. But, it'll be unit price, but we don't change the numbers. We don't ask the contractor to revise the bid once we receive the bid.
And if you do have an event that you fall short, is that already highlighted in the contract or is it up for debate at that point?
It will be, the contractor will know the final number, the budget number, and we'll tell him that's all we got. You plan accordingly.
But you can also reject all the bids and then rebid.
You can.
Correct.
Yep.
So we don't have to accept that 1 bid
Yes,
we get. We can say,
absolutely.
no, we're going out to bid again.
Yeah, I guess what I took from your comment was there will be a part of the project that is not finished based on the dollar amount if it is subject to early termination or we just spend too much money. So
Possible.
that last part, is that highlighted? Is that a contract based or is that up to the bidder or that individual?
Wouldn't their bonds?
Yeah, they will bond up to the total of their amount of their bid. And so if, let's say we've got budgeted 3 million, and it comes in at 4 million. Well, we're gonna start slicing that. We will award the bid and then we will change order it down to the budget.
With Okra approval, of course. We'll have to coordinate with
course.
Okra that, but with
Yes.
Okra approval, that's what we might be able to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
You just have to know what % of the time you guys go over the budget on these projects.
It's probably been more over budget in the last 5 years. Things have gotten a little bit crazy on bidding. But we just bid a job like this, and those are the numbers we used on this estimate. So I think we're probably pretty good. And it seems like the numbers have started to calm down a little bit on bidding. They were sky high 2 or 3 years ago. They've kind of settled a little bit, but they're still high. And we used a high number.
Did they ever lower by chance?
I
Have
don't
you ever
know.
seen that? Have you ever seen that happen?
I've seen some, but it's like
Yeah.
it's like grocery prices. Once they get up there, they never go down, right?
They don't have
Yeah, watch the price of aluminum right now and pray you don't have to buy anything that's aluminum.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about aluminum on this job
No? Yeah.
or steel.
Anything else?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for us, Mr. Klein Peter?
Thank you for
Can
the
I get a
education.
motion in a second there to approve our contract?
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
I'll make a motion to accept the Klein Peter Consulting grant administrator contract.
A second.
Chad,
Yes,
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff's first vote, everybody. There you go, everybody. Trade you. All right. Next up, Citizens Energy Group, right-of-way permit. We have someone here from Citizens.
You
come For the- talk
about it?
Can you speak to it?
Yes,
Yep.
please.
My name is Ben Moore with Citizens Energy Group.
Welcome back.
Am I coming through okay?
Yep.
Okay, okay. The request is to request before the town a blanket, if you will, right away permit processes so that when and if we need to make the excavations that it's already there and established, cut down on the admin expense, time and those kind of things for it. We get it, that we need to be doing any kind of restoration costs and those kind of things. We understand that whole purpose and processes that we would be doing. I guess just for other folks in the room, I did take the presumption, I should have said that before. This is in relationship to the natural gas assets, which we just purchased and took over here a couple weeks ago. One of the things we discussed post all that was, how does that work on the right of way? And I mean, we looked online and those kind of things. Other communities in which we serve in, we have a similar concept and those kind of things. I can forward a couple of examples of those kind of things for that, but I wanted to get the process going. As I think there'll be times where we need to do an excavation, whether it's to run a new service, do a repair, whatever it may be. I'll pause for a moment. I mean, that's the overall blanket about it.
William, would that be a contract or an MOU or a resolution, or what would that be? What would be the correct vehicle for that agreement?
A resolution that will grant you as president, or I guess if we wanted to have a specific gas sale person in charge of it, grant them the authority to sign a contract granting them an agreement, but a contract granting them the right of way.
Access their property that's in the ground.
And as he indicated, this is pretty standard stuff for a municipality to enter into when they're selling a utility. So we've been doing a little bit of research at the firm, and it shouldn't be a big deal to draft something up.
All right. We'll try to have that for next month then.
I got questions.
Yes.
Before we decide to try to have that by next month, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Brandon, what are your thoughts? You
Well-
see any concerns here with this?
No, it's their utility, it's just our easement. I mean,
It's our easement where our other utilities are present though, right?
yeah, there won't be any issue. It'd be no different than if, when we owned it, I went out and dug it up and fixed it.
Still have to follow the same
Still, locates
process.
Get called in, everything. It basically just holds them to, if they dig it up, they fix it like it was, basically.
Okay,
Other than that, no, there's no issues.
and that'll be in the resolution that,
It will be in the agreement, and I'll circulate the agreement, but pretty boilerplate. We can go through anything specific if you want to see specific provisions in that, but
It would be an awfully big headache that every time they had to run a new service, or if there was a gas leak and they repaired it, they have to fill out a right of way permit and you guys to approve it, and this just like covers it for.
I'm not opposed to doing a blanket one. I just want to make sure it addresses all the things that we have now learned going through this Comcast thing, that, you know, we address that they're appropriately remediating anything, including if they have to cut our roads, if there's bond, we're not in a fight later on for money to fix things, that, you know, there's an appropriate process in place for customers to make complaints if they feel like their property's been damaged. That, you know, I think all those things need to be addressed. I think those are points of failure that we have discovered going through the current process. Limiting locates to what is feasible for you guys to do. I mean, things like that, I think, are all coordinating with you more or less, as opposed to, you know, dictating what the process is going to be. I just want to make sure all of that is in consideration. And it's not just, oh yeah, just dig it up wherever you want. Yeah, whatever you want.
I agree, yeah.
I appreciate that. And I'll just give a word of confirmation of that, what Brandon's just sharing right now. I've got no interest in just digging wherever we want. This stage and set those crews up there and do all that kind of stuff. We want to do what we need to do, and we'll certainly customers want the capacity necessary, but I assure you it would not be out of Just 'cause we
No,
want to.
not
You know
willy
what I
nilly.
know, but you
But when I smile, it's like, I intentionally say it that way for you, and I want you to get that assurance. I mean, physical presence here and those kind of things, but I want, if you will, give that, whatever we need to do for that. Like you said, boilerplate kind of thing. I appreciate Brady, you're absolutely right. That's what we were trying to avoid once we realized it's like, we need something here that kind of streamlines all that for when we need to do it, and how we need to do it. We'll make it right for you, customers and those kind of things. Any additional questions about it?
I have one for Will, actually.
Yeah.
How many right of ways, permits do we have current right now, like active in the town?
I think there's only two at the moment. I would defer to Brandon.
I've got, Comcast has got one. I've got Mercury Fiber has two, I think, at this point, because it's two separate areas. Four max, I think. Some of it's like where we don't have utilities, some of them, sometimes I don't pay too close attention to those ones, because, but not too many.
Gotcha.
The Comcast one is the one that's kicking our butt right now, so.
Gotcha.
The only, I will mention, and we said it before, we made the commitment last month, we will be back next month. We'll have some other folks here for your community and the other folks that, as we do the transition, and we'll have computers here that folks that can register, and anybody that needs to do that, set their account with Citizens Online. We said we would do that. That way folks already have their first bill from Citizens. So if it's okay for the town, we'll come like we did last time. We're just gonna have a couple of folks here to do that. This would be the other thing. We said we would and will. We planned to, and I sent out the invites and had a couple of folks coming, but I wanted, if you will, ask permission for that again here since I'm here tonight. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just be here for the open public forum to be able to set that up. I know it can be a little bit, management of that change is what we're here to try to help with that, is smooth that out. If there's three, there's 30, there's 30. Whatever you want to do is what I told that group.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, very good. Anybody else? All right, very good. Okay, next item on our new business. We received resignation by Councilman Faust earlier this week that went into effect on the 18th. So we will be caucusing in another new member of the council soon. So do we know when the deadline is for interested parties?
The deadline is Saturday at 5:30. If anybody is interested, you can stop by Town Hall. Kelly Hewer, the Republican chairwoman, has sent me the paperwork for that. So anybody who's interested can stop up and pick one up.
What's Saturday?
Saturday, the Saturday before, next 20, is it 28?
Oh, 29th is next.
29th.
Okay.
There we go.
29th.
Sorry, I thought it
29th.
was Saturday.
Not this Saturday. No.
Not this Saturday, sorry. Thank you, though.
All right, we have no public hearings today. So next item would be old business. We have a contract for IT services that has been presented by Dan Plumley. Dan, if you would like to come up and discuss the scope of this with us and answer questions.
Chair, can I step in real quick?
Oh, yes.
I think it would be best to have a vote on accepting the resignation.
Oh, all right.
I vote to accept the resignation of Roger Faust.
I'll second.
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Sorry, Christie, yes.
All right, there we go. Very good. All right, Dan, your turn.
Greetings, everyone. Dan, I think everyone knows me. So being on the different boards, I realized that I had a skill set that I thought that I could help greatly with the town on. Worked with Jenny originally, and then Christy presented you all with a proposal of all the different items that I thought I could help with. And then, of course, we all had a nice executive meeting, I think. It went really well. But yeah, I'm excited to jump in and answer any additional questions you guys might have.
So ultimately, turn this on. Ultimately, what this is we are looking for a solution to help, for lack of a better term, make us better and to get the information out in front of citizens better through updated website, automated newsletters, better work order system, just a whole suite of technology that will really benefit the citizens of the town and the employees in town council and board members, because it'll create a solution for us that helps take away a lot of digging, searching, questions, all of those things. Dan has a very impressive technological resume behind him, and for what he does at his full-time job, and would really be a benefit for us to move us into the 21st century when it comes to those things, whether it be, just the searchability of documents and information and everything on the website, to public records requests, being able to get that information pulled quicker so that we can satisfy those faster. So who has questions for him?
I just want to just make a statement, just to hear the description of the process that we have to undergo now to even get a document put on the website is unbelievable. We have to contact someone in another country to have them upload the document onto the website. And sometimes we're limited as to what we can actually put on there based on their time or where they're at or whether they have the availability at that time to do it. And we pay a lot of money for that. So Dan will remedy that entirely. In addition to that, Dan's already just done some things for free, just kind of voluntarily helping us out. He created a search engine for our UDO that allows us to basically search on keywords and get information like that. And that will be available to people in the public who maybe somebody's looking to buy a piece of property, they want to know how it's zoned, or they want to know what they are going to be required to do in that zoning area to that property to be able to build what they want to build. They can literally go search it themselves in minutes. He's already created a mock-up of the website. He's created a mock-up. I mean, the stuff that he's already done. He created a tool that took the minutes from being hours to being minutes. That's why they're
Literally
so current now. He created a tool to take a reconciliation that took hours, a bank rec that took hours, to now take minutes to help Teresa. I mean, we're talking, he's already created efficiencies just by recognizing a need and instantly creating a tool. We'll be sitting there having a conversation and he's building the thing during the conversation. And then he turns around and goes, what about this? And so when this is more than just a website to make us better, even though we all know our website's horrible at this point. It's way more than just a website. Like, this is going to really create efficiencies throughout every process and every department.
Yeah, I would just say, in addition to that, thank you guys for the glowing review. I'm a lifelong resident here of the town. I care greatly about the town. So I see it from both sides, from a tech side and then from a resident side. So my goal is to use technology to make it easier for them to provide us with things. And as well as digging through the website, I will just go ahead and say, for me being in technology, I struggle to find things on there. When I'm trying to piece things together for how it will equate to the new website, I'm like, good God, I'm 20 levels deep and I still don't know where I'm at. So cleaning that up, making it easier, and making us bring us into the age of new technology, not to overcomplicate, but to simplify things. I mean, that's the ultimate goal from their standpoint and from the resident standpoint.
When's he start?
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Can you go over just a high level of kind of what you're planning?
Yeah, absolutely. The first and foremost, I'm sorry you're behind me. The first and foremost is the website. Number one, because it's not friendly to find any information whatsoever. It's not easily updatable, as Christy alluded to a moment ago. So the first path is website. And within the website, I already, from a resident standpoint, came up with a bunch of digital tools that I think will benefit the resident that I want to roll out immediately. So as the newsletter, even a reporting system that I'm working with William on, that not only could you report a pothole a light out, but even actual ordinance infractions. So building all of that stuff in, and then I haven't shared with you guys, hopefully I'm not over speaking here, but one of my goals, talking about transparency and making the residents feel included, once I feel like I have the base for the website, and once everyone up here has kind of said, I'm comfortable with this, what I actually want to do is release out and get volunteers to beta test and give me feedback on the website before we actually even roll it out to the public. Because there's a lot of times where I can see something and I think that's the way it should be done, but hearing from other people that that's the direction it's going, I think that's step one. And then from there, we'll always be gathering public feedback, what needs to be built into there more. And then I'm sure a lot of you know, I'm actually on every board but this one. So I get to see a lot of the needs from that side. So speeding up their processes, making things easier, like the minutes, for example. But then how can I take the information from that board, translate that to the website, and also make it more transparent and easily accessible to residents. So I think it's kind of all over the place, but I think the bread and butter to start with is the website.
For the public's sake, would you mind to just roll through a really brief synopsis of your resume?
No, absolutely. So I was with the Indianapolis Colts for 12 years. I ran their digital and their marketing. I also did some PR stuff, which I absolutely hated. I had to run Mr. Irsay's Twitter account, which was so I was with him for 12 years, or with them for 12 years. I'm now currently the CMO CTO for a large RV conglomerate. So I oversee 5 different dealerships, 3 here in Indiana, 2 in Louisiana. I'm actually currently working on my master's in data science and AI. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything from really large companies to mid-sized companies and everything in between.
And you feel that makes you qualified to do Lapel's website?
I feel like I can handle it, yes. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. All right. Any other questions for him?
I've got contract questions, but.
Okay. Big text version is supposed to be the current or correct one?
Yes, so that first one, the small text version, was our initial draft contract. Then after some conversation with Dan came up with the second one, and it passes legal's view, so long as the compensation is acceptable in there. I think everything else fairly boilerplate.
The only thing I saw in big text version, because I like this one better, I think it better fits the scope of what, he's
Right.
discussed, is the insurance requirements not in there. And I know you had said you didn't have an issue with the insurance requirement.
I actually didn't want the insurance requirement in there because I didn't feel like I was going to do anything to just break anything where you guys would want to pay for it.
Okay.
The, I guess, legal stance on that would be absent an insurance clause, an indemnification clause would be a bad thing to add, which, like you said, we don't expect that there be anything that happens that would create liability for the town, but if you guys wanted to add that in there, it would be.
And just to what might help clarify this is as far as a liability issue, none of his systems are going to be connected to our systems other than via your internet. You're not going to be hardwired into town hall or any of those things. So that provides a bit of separation there.
Yes, I will not be tied into any computers at the town hall. Any information that would be shared would probably be provided by Teresa or William or Chad. And most of that would be document related. So for instance, all of the PDFs for minutes, agendas, things like that,
Gotcha.
which are all public access. I'm just pulling them in and housing them to do the website. So I won't be connected to any systems.
Okay. That makes sense.
We should be good too, because I think I saw in there, you'll get a town email address and everything too.
I would like a town email address. That would just make it easier for me. For instance, the beta testing that I'm talking about with residents.
Yeah.
the feedback form, I would just like to have that go into the town. And it's also beneficial for you, the town council, because if, God forbid, something happened to me, you guys would instantly have access to all that stuff. These systems that will be put in place will be Google Cloud-based. So we have 2A authentication, which is really good, 2-factor authentication to make sure that everything is safe, secure. But as soon as we start on this, I will be giving someone, whoever that is, administrative ownership of that. So you guys essentially own that website property. As owners, you could literally go in there and kick me out tomorrow if you wanted, and it's yours. So I have no ownership. Teresa brought up a great question when we had our executive meeting. She's like, how much am I gonna have to ask you for? And I said, my goal is that you don't talk to me at all, because I wanna make everything so user-friendly for you guys and accessible that you don't need me to manage the website. Having a full-time job, a wife, everything else, like the last thing I wanna do is have you guys saying, I need this document on the website, or I need this event posted. Like that's not the goal for me to hold hostage anything.
Was he just saying you're a lot of time?
Any other questions? I would, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the contract as presented with the addition of an indemnification clause. Just simple boilerplate.
I will make that motion, and there is clause 6.2 in there for
Is that-
indemnification.
Is that in the new one?
Yeah,
the same
that's the,
size
I think that's the old one.
Oh, remind me.
Yeah, the old one did have the indemnification clause, and I think that it can just be
Put
pulled
back
out of
in.
that and added straight into this.
Can I make that motion?
Did I
You know how to
entertain or
do
make?
that?
Did I entertain or make?
You entertained, I moved.
Okay, we have a first. I'll second.
Chad,
Yes,
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much.
got that website done yet?
Can I just interject real quick? Would it be possible for us to assign Dan a liaison so that if he has questions, if there's somebody that can respond to him, and then can follow up and maybe give report outs to everybody else on where we're at in the process, so that
That was an amazing idea.
So who wants to be able to do that faster than me?
I mean, he can be the one to contact me, and then I'll call you.
That works for me.
I can deal with some of the things. I can do it.
Jeff's gonna need something to do.
Oh, yeah,
too.
he's
Yes,
gonna need some, yeah.
I like IT stuff. Interesting to me, so.
That is fantastic. How about this? How about I include all of you in the first one to respond to me, because it's Christy and a few others could attest. I send a lot of emails.
he does.
I like to keep everyone up
He's
to date.
quite communicative.
Yes, very, very communicative. So I will hit you guys up. You guys respond back. That'd be fantastic. The faster you guys go, the faster I go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Look forward to it. All right, department reports. We don't have our police report tonight. Officer Lee is graduating from the police academy today, so we're very proud of him. So our one officer that was left on duty is out there patrolling the streets. So planning.
Well, hang on. I had a police question.
Okay.
I understand he's not here to answer, but you're the liaison, so.
Do my best.
William can hopefully help. We have a situation where apparently, and I have the original body cam policy that was provided to me by the chief that was effective April 1st of 2023. This was provided to me back in March. And as far as I know, since then, I haven't been advised, not that I wouldn't necessarily know if I should be, but I've not been advised that that has changed. The policy indicates that the requirement for requesting, hang on just a second. Let's see here. For public release requests for body cam footage indicates all requests for public release will be submitted to the town attorney for review. All digital video and audio files are subject to open records requests as allowed by state law with redaction as necessary. Such requests should include date, time, and location of the recording and the names of the parties involved. Recordings that are subject of a denied open records request must be maintained until the dispute between the agency and the person or entity requesting reporting is resolved. We have a citizen who submitted a records request for body cam footage on the town's record request form that Teresa has, the same record request form that was used in May for another body cam footage request that was fulfilled from that form. The situation is that some time went by, the request was acknowledged, and then some time went by, a significant amount of time went by. And then the response to the requester was, hey, you didn't submit it on the right form. The police have a different form for records requests, which is not noted in this policy. And also that form references fees that he proposed in an ordinance that did not pass. So here's my commentary and frustration, and I was prepared to share this with him if he came. This council has repeatedly said, since I joined this council and even before, that our number one overarching goal this year was to increase transparency and accountability and to regain public trust. And this kind of shenanigans doesn't do that. And I'm really I'm just going to tell you, I'm annoyed because I feel like it makes a fool out of us, right? So many times we can't get out of our own way, and this is a good example. I don't care who the citizen is. I don't care what the reason is. If they submit a valid public records request, it needs to get fulfilled in a reasonable period of time, and we don't need to come back 30 days later in what feels like bad faith, but if nothing else is a lack of professionalism, and come up with an excuse why we can't do it. I'm telling you, I have tried so hard the last few months to be kind and not put anybody on blast, and to, not be contentious, because I don't want to give the public the opinion that we can't work together. But this is number one, not transparency. And number two, when I start asking questions about it and I'm not getting involved, that's not accountability. So accountability starts at this table. We hold ourselves accountable to do what we say we're going to do. And that starts with asking the hard question, why did that happen? And how fast can we get this guy what he requested the right way more than 30 days ago? So, William, do you have an idea that we can put on record of when this citizen can get what he's asking for?
Yeah, I can address a couple things you brought up there that had legal implications. I believe that after having had a conversation with the police department, that the body-worn camera policy changed it was reviewed in February, and it was changed, I believe, in April. And the chief of police has the authority, so long as it still complies with Indiana code. So I think that answers that first legal question. And then to the fees assessed, I believe that no vote was had on it. It was tabled to be brought up with some better, I think you'd asked for some clarification.
No, it clearly didn't pass. It didn't get a second. That's clear in the minutes. And he never brought it back up with any changes.
Right. So I don't think that there's any fees that can be assessed right now.
I understand that. My point is that he arbitrarily changed a policy. And if that was the case, I wouldn't even be arguing this now. If upon acknowledgement of the request, he had said, hey guys, I'm sorry, this is the wrong form. Can you please submit it for me just for records purposes? Can you resubmit it on this? I guarantee you would have had it 15 minutes later. But we don't. We wait 6 weeks to tell this guy he submitted it the wrong way. I'm sorry. There's no way that we can look at this any other way than at the least it's unprofessional, and at the worst it's bad faith. So my question again is, how fast can we get this guy what he's asking for? Because you and I talked about it, and you told me it was already in the redaction process and really just needed a final review. So that tells me the answer should be, we can probably get it to him next week.
And yeah, as someone who is not doing the redacting, I can't speak to exactly when, but I would tend to agree with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chad, is there any way we can follow up with the chief and make sure that he can get this handled next week?
I will follow up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And at this point, I'm gonna say that I would hope that we would share with the chief that our expectation is that behavior going forward will be more transparent, more accountable, and certainly more professional.
Planning.
All right, planning. Yes, so one of the things that we have been doing is going through the UDO for like public hearings for House Bill 1001. A law has been passed to ask us to go through and look at all of the different requirements that could make housing more expensive, less affordable, a little bit harder for lower income people. So we've been going through all of those to make sure that they make sense. We're about halfway through, I would say now. Some of it's taken a lot of conversation. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that you don't think about, tiny homes and cottage courts and trailer parks and all kinds of stuff. One of the things that we did do was look at how could we make the permitting process and the application process easier. And the town council has voted to make a favorable recommendation to the town council. Let's see here, that if we enter into an agreement with Dan, that we would ask him to include the creation of an online portal for submitting applications that would be able to notify required officials during the planning administrator and building inspector when an application is submitted, so that we can kind of do some dual processing there and make things a little bit more seamless, as opposed to the person having to come in and submit two physical people.
I would say that is well within the realm of possibility.
I need to sign this and hand it down to Teresa because he asked me to.
Can I see something real quick on that?
Absolutely.
Number one, I already started laying that out, and number two, I abstained from that vote. Just FYI, being on that board, I did abstain from the vote, but I did think it was a good idea, so I started kind of laying that out already.
All right. Very good. Anything else from planning?
Not at this time, though. I would question. Would you mind pass that down, Teresa? We had discussed at the last meeting or the meeting before, and I had actually been talking to Jenny about it as far back as May, about proposing a conversation around a data center moratorium while we're working through all of these UDO changes. And I was wondering if we had any progress on that.
No, well, progress on drafting an ordinance that present to you
Well,
guys.
Yeah, would it be an ordinance or a resolution?
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
Or do we fall under the county in that aspect?
No, separate.
Okay, so
Yeah, you guys can pass your own.
Okay.
Yeah. So if
The town council or the planning?
town council, the way that it should go procedurally is the planning would bring it to you guys as a recommendation, and you guys vote. And
So I need to start with planning.
Yeah.
And we have a discussion there, and then they send the recommendation for us to vote on. And then if we vote that we do, how do we do that? If they have a favorable recommendation, we tell you, you draft the ordinance. then we
You
vote.
would, as a liaison, present their favorable finding and why, give a summary as to why, and field the questions if there were any, and then we take the vote on.
One other thing planning related that I want to put out there, I have brought this up before, and I have given it more thought since the last conversation, and I just want to put it out there again for council discussion. I firmly believe that we need to completely redo the comp plan. I know, Chad, that you have been in favor of an overlay instead. I feel like the comp plan did not have sufficient public engagement. I feel like the comprehensive plan does not sufficiently represent what the people want now, as we saw through LKQ, and I think that I'll tell you, it was kind of sad, because when I read through the comp plan that was done in 2020, and I saw what like the top 10 issues were that the residents raised in that comp plan, even though we only had like 120 people participate, I want to say 8 or 9 of them are still our top 10 issues today. So number one, I think we need to completely redo the comp plan. And if whether we talk about that as a part of the budget planning or whether, you know, we talk about it, like, can we maybe get some money out of RDC? I don't know where the process starts with that. But I also think that we should have a conversation, maybe a meeting to just talk about how do we move the needle on some of this stuff? Like really seriously, how do we pick one or two of these things and make it a priority and fix it? I mean, because it hasn't gone anywhere. It really kind of just made me sad. To be honest, it made me sad. I think the only one that got fixed on there was the fire response time. So, I don't know.
So, in my thought, I don't disagree that we need to redo the whole thing, the comprehensive plan. That is a long, drawn out process.
I know.
We can approve an overlay for the corridor way faster to where we can at least prevent data center, warehouse, LKQ, whatever that thing is. We can prevent that from happening in the immediate while we redo the rest of it. If that makes sense.
Well, don't we have that? We have that protection in place now, in that almost everything requires a special use. So almost everything is going to go under BZA consideration. And if we do a moratorium on data centers, then while we're going through that process, then what's the danger?
The overlay gives developers that are coming into the area, it tells them what we want to do with that space. So that way you don't have, if you've ever driven down.
The problem is, I think there is a significant difference between what you want to do with that space and what everybody else wants to do with that space. I'm just being honest. You want commercial. We've talked about that before. You want commercial. I can tell you there are a lot of people open to residential, and really that there's a segment right there where there's already utilities that make sense for residential. And I mean, I've spent time talking to people who are working in that area, and they're telling me like commercial is not something that's happening right now. So if what you really want is development, commercial may not be the answer. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, what everybody wants is what that comp plan should represent and what that overlay should represent, not what you want. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be negative, but I feel like there's a lot of times that I bring things up and you say, I don't want to do that. But to be really honest, Chad, you're not the mayor. We need a comp plan because we need to know what the people want. It is time for us to ask and listen. Not in the middle of the pandemic when nobody knows what's going on and everybody's worried about dying. You want to encourage development out there, we need to ask people what they want. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be contentious, but I feel like if I don't come from this place, I'm not heard. So I want to be heard, and I'm telling you, that comp plan is junk.
I don't disagree either, because I mean, as someone who's newer in the last 2.5 years here, I wish I was here my whole life. I love that. But the thing is, to your point, there is really not much done. When you read that plan, we haven't really accomplished much within that plan, according to that plan. And really same with the parks. Because those are two things my wife and our family actually looked at before we moved to town, just because I saw it was out there. And so I don't think you're alone in that. And I mean, if we can fulfill this council, I think got enough people here that would really put the energy into it. And I think we could get enough public input. I didn't realize that was during COVID the last time that happened. I don't think a lot of people were meeting in general.
Like
so
February, March of
2020. But on the other hand, I don't want to discount some of the stuff that already has been done. I don't chuckle about it, but LKQ comes up a lot. I've noticed that a lot. And whether it be a pollution issue or whatever that people thought it may be, I think we also have something right here in our town that's not in the town limits that could potentially be doing something similar in reality, not a potential. So, and I'll get to that part in my section later. Anyhow, I don't disagree. So I think it'd be worth looking into again. The overlay maybe, but that whole plan really hasn't progressed. I mean, in the parks plan, they're talking about using that creek out there as kind of a development piece and like a nature center and all this stuff. I love nature. I'd be out there all the time. But we haven't done anything with it. So I think, to your point, I'd be open with that to relook into that kind of stuff too.
I just feel like I bring up LKQ a lot because it was a catastrophic event that we should have stepped back and learned from. I think we have. I think from talking to everybody, we have learned some things, a lot of things in a lot of different areas, but it's time for us to just start really taking a hard look at when things fail. Why did they fail? How do we fix it? How do we make sure it doesn't happen going forward? Not just, okay, that's over, let's go. I mean, no, that's why they keep happening. And LKQ is a perfect example. When people figured out what that was, they realized it wasn't what they wanted, but if you would have looked at the comp plan, you wouldn't know that. And more people showed up to remonstrate or have an opinion, either remonstrate or for it. More people showed up to those BZA meetings about LKQ than everyone who participated in the comp plan. That should tell you something. That comp plan it's not effective. It does not reflect what the people want. And it created a lot of pain.
Yep, still can't get developers to come down for it today.
No, and I get that. I understand that. I understand we have an image problem. We're going to continue to have an image problem if we have situations where developers are afraid to come in because they think they're going to get that kind of a response because they don't really know what we want, and we don't really know what they want.
Well, I do think there is a very clear picture being painted around here. If you guys have seen the enrollment numbers for Franklin Lapel schools in the last year, has anybody seen that? What's happened in the last year at Franklin Lapel schools? It's grown by 45%. It's almost double. So we had about 900-ish students in Franklin Lapel. Now we have about 1,900, 1,800 in 1 year. And it's also happening at Madison Grant. It's happening in the donut areas. Okay. So when I hear, people don't want to come to town, I would disagree with that. I think there's a lot of people that want to come to town.
There's people that want to come to town, but there's not business that wants to come to town. And what's going to kill us is lack of business.
But business will come when people are here. And people will come.
We had the
when
highest population growth in the county at the last census. The
you-
people are coming here and we know it. We just have to find a way to get business to come to town and be able to support. Right now, we can't support more people because of the situation with our sewer plant and the mistakes that were made in the past.
I understand.
The area south of 500 is not our utility control. So there has to be meetings and everything with Fall Creek. Fall Creek Waste and Citizens for the Water and whoever else is out there in that area before any utilities can be provided to that area. And that's all part of, we have to have a plan and we have to tell them this is the plan and they have to be involved in the plan.
The plan was supposed to be there before the ordinance for the annex happened. The plan was already supposed to be in place. It's written into the ordinance that the plan was already supposed to be there before it was accepted. That was 2014. 2016 is when utilities were supposed to start moving to the annex as per the ordinance in 2014. This is my same argument for what I'm getting charged for no reason, from the ordinance from 2011 or 2013 that excluded me from the bill that I got put on anyway. It's not a reoccurring problem. It's just the problem.
We understand we have a capacity and an infrastructure, so we absolutely understand that. I think the hope is that if we can encourage development in that area, it will help pay for us to be able to meet those commitments.
Sure.
Part of the problem is that we don't have a clear marketing plan, so to speak. If a
How was the
developer,
ordinance passed for the annex if the plan wasn't already
no,
in place as
that's
it was written?
not what I'm referring to. I'm
Sure.
referring to an economic development.
How can you go any further if the plan was never written to begin with?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
There was
It's two different, there's two different topics on it. There,
But it's very similar in its line of thinking down through the corridor in the annex. You can't put something in place that doesn't exist, that you already told yourself had to exist before you could put it in place.
What are you referring to?
We're pulling feathers out of our pocket and calling them bricks.
No. Are you, just to be clear, are you saying that we can't develop that area because there's not utilities?
Well, that's one reason.
Okay. That's not necessarily true. In some instances, depending on the type of development,
But things have been promised for so many years and haven't happened. How
I
are you gonna do it
understand.
now?
I 100% understand that, and I hear you. I hear you. What I'm trying to say to you is that right now, the resources to make that happen don't exist.
Right.
Our hope to be able to make those commitments met is to encourage development in those areas. In order for
The
us.
developers will pay to
No,
put
I
them
understand
in.
that in.
I get that.
The problem is.
Why did you promise it to us if it didn't have a
Now,
plan?
that I can't speak to
Right.
because I wasn't.
So we should be
part of
doing
that.
something about these things.
And that's what we're trying to do.
I know.
We're trying to find the resources, create the resources to do that. We're discussing how we can get developers to come in and pay for those upgrades.
Okay.
And one of the issues that we have is that we can't, if a developer's looking for an area to put something, they're looking to see who's got a comprehensive plan that allows that, who's already got a recognized use that they don't have to go through a bunch of hoops and spend a bunch of money to be able to go into that area. Well, you look at other areas, at other places, and they're far more prepared. They've got people out there with hey, this is how we're zoned. This is what we're set up for. Come here, come here. We don't have that. We don't even know what we want there. We're still having arguments about what we want to see there because we haven't asked people. We asked people during the pandemic when they were being asked to stay home and cover their faces, and they weren't worried about this. They weren't worried about it. I paid attention. I showed up to town meetings for 5 straight years. Do you know this thing was at the last meeting before I found out about it? I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's anyone's fault. It was a pandemic, right? It was like something unprecedented in my lifetime. All I'm saying is the people that were regularly there, if you look at the steering committee, were primarily people who were employees of the town, people on these boards. They were not the landowners. They were not the citizens. They were not the people who were going to buy homes or shop at businesses in those areas. They were us. And I'm saying it's time for us to re-engage with the public and ask the public what they want, because until you do that, any developer that has a project is going to be scared to come in here because they don't know what they're going to meet. Is the public going to be okay with this? Is the public not going to be okay with this? Versus us having a plan put together that we can professionally go out and we can market Lapel. And if you don't believe me, watch a planning meeting for Pendleton. Go sit in a planning meeting for Ingalls. Go look at Pendleton. If somebody goes to Pendleton and says, hey, I want to put XYZ in, Pendleton won't even sniff their application if it doesn't meet the comprehensive plan. That's how sure they are that their people, that's what they want in that place. That's how sure we need to be. And that starts with scrapping that comp plan and starting completely over. And actually doing the work to get out and get with the people. I don't care if we got to go to Rickers on a Monday morning to track people down to get their opinion. That's where we need to be if that's where the people are, to find out what the answers are. And I'm sorry, but I have not, in all the time that I have been in this town, ever seen town government reach out and try to engage the people that way. And this is somewhere where it is so, so important. You want to talk about we have an image issue. You want to talk about we have a professionalism issue. It starts right there. The developers have to be confident that they're not going to meet remonstrance because we don't know what the people want. Okay, so I've said my piece. I'll shut up.
Parks. Oh, sorry, utilities. I preemptively crossed them out.
Can I make a comment before you get under my friend? Lindsay?
She's Lindsay.
Lindsay Christie.
Christie, I want to applaud you for your passion. I think you're doing a great job. I know these are hard settings to fight against your peers, but I appreciate it. Good.
Thank you.
Go for it, Brandon.
I just want to say anything your way. All right, I got a few things here. As far as updating what we've been doing with the utility department, locates. Yes. Months of locates. That's all we've really got done. We got a little bit of rain, so that kind of put us back
A little bit of rain.
behind. Yes.
Others did get more rain.
we fared fairly well. Like looking to other communities, we did really well. It was a big headache, and things are adjusting out, finally catching up. But I'm blessed with how we did. So first thing I got, Comcast is close to about 87 to 90% complete. I think their goal would be to be done boring next week. At some point, they'll be in doing restorations and other stuff like that. On that note, they have applied to request more permits just to bore some additional underground things that to tie some things together. They applied to bore an extra 8,060 foot, which I would encourage you guys.
Less than 2 miles.
Yeah, I would encourage you guys to just approve. I mean, just they're already there. You know, if we could get that approved, that would be.
Do they have a map? Have
Yeah.
they?
Did you bring a copy?
I brought a copy.
Sorry, and I apologize.
Let
I
me see.
usually try to like to get these things out to you sooner, but I got kind of.
I gotta figure out where I put it now.
It was nothing big. It's a lot of short sections, just to kind of
here,
tie,
here,
yeah,
here.
just to tie stuff in.
Well, you might have to go on to something else and come back.
It's in your email also.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that's something we can get approved tonight, we can.
It's in your packet.
It's in my packet?
It's in your packet, not mine.
It's somewhere.
Just,
In my utility section?
sorry. And I didn't plan them off for all of you, so you'll have to share one. Keep going, keep going.
I can only do so
Right
much.
there. There you
All right, here. Anybody else look at it? So ultimately, exact same process, same
Nothing
rules,
changed, just we're
everything.
just adding a few sections. Compared to the 80, almost 90,000 feet that they, wanted before, 8,000 is not much. So, I think I've looked at the map, I've talked to them, everything looks good on my end, I just need your guys' permission.
All right. Well, they look at that. What else you got?
Let's see here. So with the sale of the gas department and us losing USDI as our engineer, we use them for our locating stuff. So when we go out and do locates, we take pictures, we put how we marked it, all that gets positive response and back to 811. So now we're gonna lose that capability. So I reached out to 3 different companies that do that kind of thing for small municipalities and stuff like that. I found one that was the cheapest, but they had the most options and kind of suited more to the municipality side of it. So for a year, for a year subscription of that is $3,000 a year. And then just for the first initial setup, for them to take our maps, train all the guys, do all that stuff, the total first year cost would be $4,250. So if we don't have like an app on our phone or don't use a third party like this, when we do these locates, the guys have to go out and locate it, take pictures on their phones. Then we have to store them on a USB drive and label them for each locate number. And then I have to get onto 811's website and manually positive response each one. Does that make sense? It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
Sounds like something.
Especially when you're getting 2,000, 2,500 locates a year.
Gotcha. We have the funds to cover this.
Yes, we do.
I would make the motion that we approve is it just called BOSS?
Yeah, Boss 811 or Boss, yeah. Boss is the name of it.
So I'll make the motion that we approve this contract for $4,250 for setup and 1 year of services.
Second. Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. All right, the next thing I got, as we know, we got a lot of rain. So that put a strain on a lot of our lift stations. The lift station that took the worst hit was the one out on Fishersburg. It ran from Thursday midday to about early Monday morning, nonstop. Everything was full of water in it. So in turn, a couple of the pumps airlocked. So we didn't lose, I guess we're only pumping about 80% efficiency because there's a check valve in there. You don't know how this works. There's a check valve. So when the pump shuts off, that valve stops to keep it from backflowing in. Well, both those check valves are bad. the valves that you would use to shut those off are also bad because the pit was full of water with all the rain. We got 2 different quotes. I would probably just go with the cheapest. Both companies are about the same. They're similar. To replace both of the check valves, the flanges and the actual valves, the cheapest quote came in at $12,296.42.
Do we check these annually?
No, so that's gonna be my next point. I found a company. So finding a company to come out and look at these, or how even have an after-hours emergency service, we found is very difficult. This Indiana Pump Works, that if this gets approved, that would replace these check valves. We started using them because they had said they had 24-hour service. Well, we needed them one night and nobody answered the phone. Excuse me. So I found a guy that lives close. He's in Edgewood. He's recently started up his own business, but he did this for the city of Nevillersville full time. Then he worked for another pumping company and then decided, hey, I'm going to start my own business. So I've sat down with him. He's going to give me some pricing, but I want to go and get a pricing where we do annual preventative maintenance. Like, I'm tired of messing with these lift stations only when they break. It's the only time we touch them. And it costs us, $12,000, $15,000 every time. So the guy that I talked to, he couldn't do this job because he doesn't have a crane truck yet to be able to lift them out. He said if we would have caught it soon enough, you can buy rebuild kits for a third of the price. We could have rebuilt them. He would be able to see that annually when they clean them out. So just to put that on your guys' radar, Cameron and I are going to sit down, get an idea of how much it would cost just to have somebody come out and do regular maintenance on this stuff. We've lacked on that for many, many years, a lot of things, not just wastewater. So water, we've gotten pretty much caught up. So now we need to focus on wastewater and start getting that stuff caught up too. But
Did they have a PNCS contract, the people you talked to, where they would do that on a regular basis?
it should, yeah.
Yeah, I would say if we can get some people to give us some.
Yeah, the problem with, and like, that's why we forgot the first quote from Indiana Pump Works, and at $12,000, it was high. Like, we thought, like, that's outrageous. Are they the only ones? Because there's not many companies that do this. So we reached out to BBC, who we used to do a lot of work for in the past, but they quit doing after-hour service. So we got theirs, and it was even higher. So they kind of got you. There's not many companies that do this anymore. I've reached out to Nevillersville, the Carmel, bigger. They do it in-house. They have the money and the equipment to be able to do it in-house. So finding a third-party contractor is hard.
Yeah, if we can get a service contract that ultimately prevents this from happening, then we're money ahead.
Yeah.
So
the guy that I talked to, he came out. I called him one night. I think it was Saturday night. We were having issues with that lift station. I said, hey, like, can you come out and look at this? I know you've never worked with this before. He's like, I'm in Noblesville. I'll be there in 10 minutes. So he came out and he did some things, and we couldn't really get it going. And I was like, well, let me get your information. That way you can send your bill, to Tracy. He's like, I'm not charging you. I didn't fix anything. So that's when I said, hey, man, we want to work with you more.
First one's free. That's what they get.
Can you give me some information? But I think setting up a maintenance program for this stuff would be awesome.
No, we've talked about it for a while.
Yeah.
I find it concerning that we don't have a maintenance. Oh, okay. I gotta ask a couple questions here. So I know you're doing the asset management plan for water for us, right?
Not yet.
Aren't you working on that?
Not yet. We took that off the agenda.
Okay. I would assume part of an asset management plan would include understanding what the life of these parts and equipment are.
Yes.
Understanding what routine maintenance is required, having a maintenance plan, whether it's with the company or in figuring out what maintenance we can do in-house, and reserving funds against that so that we know what our expenses are going to be and when we're going to have to replace equipment. So when we ran into this with the water, and I was on the other side of the table then, so I kind of really had hoped that maybe this was just a miss, but I looked up what's the life of a pump, right? Like the well pump life is like 8 years, and like one of the ones we had was already at like 6 years. And I'm thinking to myself, we're gonna have to replace this thing anyway here in a couple of years. And I'm thinking, God, I hope we have a reserve for that somewhere so that when it's time to replace it, it's already budgeted. We just replace it, we move on, right? We don't wait for it to fail or we don't try to limp it along. It is concerning to me that we don't already have this in place. Like, have we done an assessment throughout the entire sewer utility, throughout the entire water utility to determine exactly that? What is the life of the equipment? Where is it at in the life cycle? What is the maintenance expectation? Do we have something in place to maintain it?
So the water department does have an asset management plan.
Okay.
It's very poor, be the right? Okay.
Considered incomplete.
Incomplete, yes. It's got a lot of information, but it's also got a lot of information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so and some of it isn't really relevant. But we do have one, so that gives us at least a base starting point on that one. Wastewater wise, I don't think we have an asset management plan for wastewater. And the biggest problem with, not the town, but we've never had it like, you always had an operator or a certified operator for water and wastewater that was never here. Like they came in on the weekends and signed the paperwork, but other than that, you never saw them. So now you've got, I'm running the water, you got Troy running wastewater, and Troy's really involved with that. So I think everything's finally coming together.
So what you're saying is we're finally
We're recognizing what we've been lacking on for many years.
My question is though, we need to be proactive and we need to recognize it before it fails and we're looking for somebody to fix it and we realize we don't have it. What is the game plan for that? Do we have a game plan for that? Is there a project and a timeline in place?
As far as lift stations go, that's why I want to get with this guy. Let's set up an annual maintenance plan. I want him first to come in and look at everything, tell us like, is there probably, I mean, there's a couple that's probably outdated. Like, what do we need to catch up on, first? And then get us annually, what can you come out and do for preventative maintenance? As far as the whole scheme of wastewater, I think does an asset management plan come when we start applying? When we start applying for that stuff.
I mean, we shouldn't be doing this because we needed to apply for a loan. We should be doing this because it's good asset management.
Yes, correct.
We should be doing this because our wastewater facility is our biggest asset in the town and we should know the condition it's in and that we're maintaining it. I mean, and that's not a criticism of you.
No.
That's
an
more
asset
me saying,
management
how do
plan-
we make this a priority?
Yeah, an asset management plan for like a whole wastewater, that's way above mine. That's more of a damn thing.
No,
yeah.
fair enough. I'm talking
Yeah.
bare bones.
Yes.
Like I know when my car needs an oil change. I know I don't want to buy a new one, so I'm going to make sure my car gets an oil.
And that's been the biggest problem with a lot of the wastewater stuff is we don't touch it or don't deal with it until it breaks. Because when it runs, it runs. When it doesn't, it don't. And then every time, like when we had the tornadoes, everybody talked. We were like, oh, we need to get pumps. And we need to get this and this and this. And then it falls off and we don't do anything about it. Well, now we just had all this rain. And could I have used a pump? Heck yeah, I could have. You know what I mean? Like, so let's start getting it. I know it's a lot of money for something that sets, but when you need it, it's there. And we don't have to rely on other companies. So in the long run, I feel like
It's the reason we bought generators.
It's a generator.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money and it sets a lot of time. But when you need it, it's there. I mean,
How do we make this a priority?
Well, Brandon is a whopping 20 days into his new position, and it sounds like he's figuring it out pretty quick on where he needs to start working on that
if we
stuff.
could start by, let me get this repaired. So this Fisher Creek lift station's up and running. I'm going to start working next week on getting some quotes I want some quotes for some pumps, some different things. I want to sit down with that guy, get a quote on. It's going to take a lot of logistics before we get moving forward, but we're working on it. I mean, it's
okay.
I'm sure it'd be easier if we weren't doing utility locates every 3 seconds.
It's not bad. We're almost over that. We're over that bridge almost. So.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve one of the repair quotes?
Make him. You want
The cheaper one?
What's
Indiana
the-
Pump Works.
What's the warranty on this?
So everything would be manufacturer warranties. I mean, it's not.
So parts only?
Well, Indiana Pump Works a labor warranty too, but it's gonna be the standard.
Well, the other one?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Indiana Pump Works, when they come out and do stuff for us, that is different than BBC's. Indiana Pump Works usually doesn't charge us a diagnostic fee. So if we call them out and say, hey, we've got an issue with what's going on, they figure out the issue and then they don't charge us for the diagnostic. They only charge us for if we do the repair. So there's been 2 or 3 times where they come out and say, hey, this is what's going on, and then we end up having to use somebody else, but we don't have to pay Pump Works. They tell us what's wrong.
I would make a motion to approve the quote for Indiana Pump Works for $12,296.42.
A second. Second,
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christie,
yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
All right, other than the right of way, that's all I got. I will say on the right of way permits with the whole Comcast deal, just a reminder to the general public, there are going to be locates still called in and a bunch of flags. We've had a bunch of issues with flags being removed out in Montgomery Farms and Brookside, and that causes us to have to go out and locate twice. So it costs us a lot of, we're at the end of it, just hang with us just a little bit longer. And
So the kids I saw like throwing flags at each other the other
90%
day.
of the time, yeah.
Live football season.
There you go. Yeah.
I have questions about this Comcast right away project, and I'm curious, is now the time to ask, or should I wait till?
Go for it.
Okay. Oh, ask now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So first thing is, there's a lot of complaints about residents having damaged property that's left with holes that aren't marked, property that's big lumps of dirt, big ruts and tracks. Do we have a process for taking in those complaints and
We do. I've told Diane that the problem is a lot of people like to complain to them when they call Diane and get Dave's number. Dave, you've only had a handful of phone calls, right?
Yeah, I've given my business card to the city hall, and then when we originally door tagged every house in the city, it had QC's 1-800 number on it, for our corporate headquarters. So any complaints that have came through those channels, come to me, just within 30 minutes, or they'll even pass the call through for QC headquarters to me in the field, and then, I'm there within 10 or 15 minutes generally to address any complaints that I've got through a phone call.
okay. 'Cause I know one of the residents mentioned in her post that she calls the phone number and she gets transferred around a bunch. So I just want to make sure that we have a way to track these and that they're being cured.
Well, and then, also the city hall can give them my number directly, and I answer my phone. And I'm around town, Brandon always knows where to find me. I'm down here at least 3 days a week, 4 days a week.
Okay. Do you have a business card?
Yeah, I've got some in the car I can give you.
Oh, okay.
And, I'd left a stack of them up at City Hall.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I've told Diane, that if anybody calls to complain, give them Dave's number, he's gonna get it.
They're not calling.
But they don't call. Like,
Yeah.
you see, I read that whole thread,
Yeah.
and that's why I asked, and
Well, and I had
Nobody
actually
calls.
got calls last week about it too.
Yeah.
About something else. So
And then, some of the things that folks are seeing is, we're putting the pipe in the ground pretty rapidly right this second, and then got a bunch of rain. So it takes, just a minute to let things settle, let the piles, dry out. And then when Carl starts to do the restoration, like he'll have all his crews moving from, just following down the pipe and cleaning up everything as they go. And as Carl's boring, he's pretty much knocking on doors as he's there. If there's a homeowner, and making contacts, and everybody sees Carl driving around from, 7 o'clock in the morning till, well, he's still here now. So we've done our best, and, like I said, they've got my number, and I'll address it immediately.
and it may not, some of them may not even be Comcast. Some of it, you said there's several others that are working in the area as well. So
one other fiber working on 300, but not like back in the additions or nothing.
So
Carl, I think if Carl tells you what he told me, because I asked the same question to him before the meeting started. I think if you explain that part, that will.
So we've gone around and put a lot of small vaults everywhere. Everywhere we put a vault, we've got a little pile of dirt, okay? The problem that we've got is we've taken a lot of it away, but dirt settles, and it will settle when it rains. We haven't had a lot of rain till a week ago. And that dirt is settling, there's little holes everywhere that we gotta fill in. So now
we gotta let it dry out a little bit. We'll come back and we'll fill all that around. Then we'll put topsoil in and take all the excess dirt out of it. And we've already did it up on the north side of the town, and we didn't have enough rain and stuff to settle. And it's the same with potholes and certain things to find the utilities. And we've had a lot of settling with that, just because we haven't had a lot of rain than we did and then we don't. So we are well aware of it. My goal is to finish hopefully getting the conduit in the next week and a half. And then we're gonna start just cleaning everything up and stuff from the north side coming south. There will be some topsoil brought in, there'll be some dirt that we will reuse. Then there'll be a lot more seed and straw put down. But yeah, we're well aware of it. Pretty much, I've spoke to, I think, everybody, at least on the north side of the railway tracks. Everybody knows my truck. They'll chase me down. So, I'm not aware of anybody complaining, because most people I speak to say, hey, this is what's happening, but don't give up on me. It's still gonna be a couple more weeks away, and then we're gonna come and take care of it.
Okay. Well, I think we just give them the information on how to get things fixed up and who to contact, and just tell them to call us back.
At the end of the day, the people have to call the right place. It's fine and good for them to, if they call you, you have to give them his number so that, and let them know they have to call him.
Absolutely, that's why I asked for a business card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll be the same thing as Brandon telling them, if they don't call, it does no good. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So.
I do think that as a town, we need to, when this is completed, we need to step back and do a complete evaluation of how this project went for the purposes of evaluating whether or not our fee structure and our right-of-way permit process is effective.
I 100% agree.
And
So I think even when we implemented the new right-of-way process before Comcast came in, but I think if you look at our time, we still lost money. We didn't make anything.
Yeah.
I'd like to understand too, how if Banning helped, what they did, what they did for.
I have no idea what Banning's done. I haven't seen them once since this project started.
Have we gotten any bills for that, Teresa?
Yes, we have. Three of them we paid because Comcast was gonna reimburse us for them. After that, the first three, Comcast decided they wanted to pay Banning directly. So from that fourth one on out, they're going directly to Comcast, and Comcast is, had to send them an invoice for the three that we had already paid.
Okay.
So they're gonna pay us back for those.
So yeah, I'm sure Comcast knows if they're helping or not, if they're paying the bill.
I haven't seen anybody in town.
Well, I know we asked initially, could they do that? And they told us no.
I know, so I paid them, and then after I paid.
Not seen Banning out anywhere.
No, I haven't seen him once since the project started.
I talked to Brandon 20 times a day.
Yeah.
I mean, every morning I call him, I give him the schedule where we're at, what our plans are, going forward for the week, and we talk every day, verifying stuff, double checking things. But we tried calling Banning at the beginning, we couldn't get a hold of anybody, but I haven't seen Banning out anywhere inspecting any of our stuff.
Yeah, because I thought Banning's contract was with us, and the whole point of Banning's contract was to provide us with extra help with supervision and extra help with inspections and things like that. And
that's what kind of makes me nervous as we're getting towards the end of this is like, am I gonna be the one that's responsible to go through the entire town and inspect all this?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Well, that's a good question. Have we figured the answer out?
I asked
Who do
it.
we ask?
Huh?
Who do we ask?
I don't know.
Because I feel like he's asking, and
He's asking you guys.
exactly, and he's not
Because
getting an
you're-
answer. We need to give him an answer. Who is?
I don't know who the contact was for Banning or any, I didn't deal with all that when we set that up, so I don't have anybody to.
I got the contract right here, so I guess we could look and find out.
Well, we can set that as a follow-up.
Yeah, I know where these guys are at, what they've been doing, so.
I'm sure they'll want to talk to Banning too if they've been paying them.
Well, yeah.
Chad Ziegler. Project manager Chad Ziegler. This is yours,
I don't know.
No relation.
I don't know.
All Chad's.
Well, and another thing is after, after it's all forward and put in the structure, then the separate crew goes through and pulls the fiber. So then that's another layer of inspection on QC's end, because if they see something or if a homeowner comes out while we're pulling in the fiber, that's also related. So, and that could be possibly 2 or 3 weeks after they've set the structure, so they've had time to settle or get restored. And, then after that, then Comcast will start servicing the home. So then that's a third or fourth time that if a homeowner has a grievance, they can address it also. So it's from start to finish.
Once we have boring done and we have the cables in, and we send it over to Comcast, Comcast will actually send the inspector out, one of their own inspectors, and he'll ding me if I have a volt that's half an inch too low, or it's too high, or there's not enough restoration done, and he'll visit every location and open every vault.
Yeah.
And it sucks for me, to be honest with you. It's good for you guys, it's good for Comcast, because that's the quality of work they want. But after this is turned over, they will send an inspector out who will have to go to every location.
Yeah.
And open everything up. He's got to check if there's enough gravel in it, with ground rods in it. Everything's pressed in nicely. There's no sinkages or anything like that.
Well,
That's one thing that Comcast is very, very.
ultimately, I think we want to be good business partners with Comcast as well in this process, but you have to understand that our ultimate obligation is to our residents, to make sure that their concerns are addressed, to make sure that they're not left trying to figure this out after everybody's gone, to make sure that we didn't spend 10 times more than what we collected in right-of-way fees. I think we have a responsibility to look at the process and make sure it worked. Okay.
All right. So with that, the right-of-way applications that have been submitted for the additional 8,000 feet, to me, look as if they follow the exact same scope, requirements, everything as all the other ones, regardless of our situation and if it's been a plus or a minus for us. I think it would be wrong of us to change the rules and requirements this late in the game for the last 10 yards of the field here. So I would make the motion that we approve the right-of-way application for the remaining 8,000 plus feet to be completed.
You made that one.
I made the motion.
Second.
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Anything else, sir?
You guys got anything for me?
I want to appreciate you and your team. While we were not impacted the same as many other areas of the county, you all did an amazing job keeping Lapel functioning. We had a couple of flooded roads. I was in constant contact with Brandon through the entire event, making sure that we were in good shape, that we didn't have any, water issues, either through Stony Creek or through the treatment plant, knowing how much water was coming down. We definitely are one of the most fortunate communities in the county out of this rain event. So, but Brandon and his team did an amazing job making sure that the town of Lapel stayed functioning properly, and I just want to applaud them for that.
Thank you. I say our plan for what roads we were gonna shut down if the rain came, I got all shot when we came in, and this road never flooded before, but I got a foot and a half of water here, so
Yeah.
we had more barricades out than I think we ever have for flooding, but yeah, it went very well.
Well, I think over the last 10 years or so, I know you've done a lot of work with drainage in this town, and we've done a lot of improvements, but you've handled a lot of that. So I think we're in good shape because of the work you guys do too. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Parks, now it's your turn.
Our meeting for July was canceled due to renovations.
But I would like to point out that both Brandon and I's liaisons have resigned. So I don't know if any thought has been put into that on who I need to.
My opinion on this would be, since Roger's resignation just kicked in and we'll be having another member caucused in, I think it would be wise for us to just wait and go through all that once we have the fifth member of the Beatles here.
And in the meantime, I should report to.
I'll
take you for next month.
There you go.
And then we have a meeting next week. So, any questions for me?
When is that? When is that meeting? Just curious.
Thursday.
Thursday? All right.
At 7. Yes.
Here.
Here, Thursday at 7.
And if Lindsay's there, we can all be there.
It's like I had to.
We can be there.
When I got out of work today, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What time is RDC? Because it's been 2 months since we've had a meeting. For redevelopment commission tonight, we did have a meeting. We discussed that once the town has its upcoming budget workshop, and we should have preliminary numbers on what we're looking at. We should have preliminary numbers as well for redevelopment. So once the town has its budget workshop, RDC will sit down and try to outline priorities and where we want to do some expenditures for 2027 at that time. So one other thing from that, and Teresa will bring it up. We entered into contract with Reedy Financial for the financial advisory service for the reorganization, the merger of the town and the township. That project, due to some law changes, has been put on hold. The RDC did commit to paying for, I think, about 50% of that project. So the bills that were presented to us tonight were for everything that we've been built up to this point, and not split out to the 50-50. So Teresa will be bringing up that we will, for legal obligations, we do have to pay those, and then we will work with RDC to reimburse the half that they committed to the bills that we've already received. So, all right, that's it for RDC. Administration, I don't think we have any update on anything for Lisa. All right. Clerk Treasurer report.
Okay, I have a few things. I'm just gonna start at the top. We have 3 memorandum of executive sessions I need voted on. One for July 20th, one for July 28th, and one for July 30th. If I could get a vote on those, that would be great.
I make a motion that we approve the memorandums for the executive sessions for 7/20, 7/28, and 7/30 of 2026.
Second.
Chad.
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yes.
Christy.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Alright. Second up, I met with Clark Insurance Group, which they hold our health insurance. I met with him today, and my apologies. He gave me enough sheets to show you guys, and I didn't bring them. I forgot them. So it's nothing big. We were on Anthem insurance, and then due to Anthem raising their prices so much last year, we went with the Chamber Care because they were cheaper. Now, of course, now Anthem is cheaper than Chamber Care, or SIHO is what they call it. So they're recommending that we go ahead and switch back to Anthem. It's not going to affect anybody's deductibles, because the deductible that they paid so far this year will carry over to Anthem because it's done annually. It's not going to affect any aspect of our insurance other than we're going to get a new insurance card, and it will save the town $10,123.92 this year in health insurance. So I just need a vote to whether we can go back to Anthem or stay with SIHO.
I'll make a motion. We go back to Anthem insurance for our health insurance.
I'll second.
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, next up, Michelle from Crohn's came yesterday. We worked all day on the budget and doing a few different things. She has recommended that we set up a budget workshop. I know that Chad and Christy are both going on vacation the 6th through the 12th.
Not together.
Oh, 2 separate dates, sorry. I don't think that would be good. Sorry, said that all wrong, but hey. Anyway, so we're looking at September the 2nd at 7 o'clock. If y'all could check that and let me know before you leave today so that I can get it set up. It is a public meeting. I will get with the Lions Club people to make sure that we can have it here once I have the date scheduled. So, let's see. Another thing I want to bring up is now that I'm back doing the agenda for right now and working with Lisa to do it, if you want something, say we discuss 10 things and you're like, yeah, we need to do it next month. Yeah, we need to I'll try my best to write it on my book to put it on the board. But if any of you have hey, I want this on the agenda, even if it's just for discussion, just text me. We'll get it on the board. That way it gets on the agenda. I thought I'd done a little better this month. I got the agendas out to you guys, I think on Friday with all the attachments that I had, except for Jeff, because he didn't have an email yet, but I got his as soon as I got his email. And then our goal is to have them out by Friday on noon. That way it gives you guys the whole weekend to look through everything, the full, and clear up until Thursday. That if you then have a problem with something that's on the agenda, text me. I know Christy had texted me about one thing. I think Chad had too. And then if by noon on Monday, I don't hear back from anybody or we fixed whatever the person wanted fixed, then it goes out to the public on Monday. That way they have from Monday afternoon to Thursday evening for them to have time to review. I just think it's important. The other thing I have is we're getting a lot of complaints about these electric bikes. I know a few months ago, I thought we were doing an ordinance, and then I was told the other day that there needed to be some adjustments made to the ordinance, and I was wondering if you could speak on that, please.
So last time we discussed e-bikes, it came from the chief, and he had discussed it with legal, but he came before the whole council and discussed putting in place a ordinance to regulate e-bikes using the standard ordinance that's used right now. It's put out by AIM, and it classifies them in 3 different areas. First 2 classifications up to 20 miles an hour, and then one like 20 plus. I think the e-bikes right now can get up to 32. I think I was seeing when I was researching this. And where they can be allowed and all of that, I have not heard from the chief on the status of that. But if that's something that we would like to do, then we can get that drafted up. I mean, quickly. A lot of municipalities are doing them, so there's a lot of examples of how to do it correctly out there.
Yeah, you ultimately have children on unlicensed motorcycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, 3 people have come in that they have walked out of a business on Main Street and about been ran over. 2 other people have come in, they have about hit these kids because they're not stopping at stop signs. I personally have about hit them and have not pretend I was the police, but I was like, hey, you need to stop at stop sign because they're not doing it. And I would feel horrible if I hit some kid and killed them because they ran a stop sign on their e-bike. Horrible.
I think the helmets are the biggest thing that I see. A lot of these kids are zooming around 22, 25 mile an hour with no helmet. And I got 3 boys, 7, 5, and 2, and we got an electric dirt bike, but they keep that out the road or on the sidewalks. And going back to the point of the sidewalks, good point. I myself have walked out before and almost been taken out by him. So yeah, it's someone, a little kid just got, I want to say, passed away in a tragic accident not too far from here. And so it actually crossed my mind. I can't believe I'm saying that as I'm getting older now. Maybe the fun is starting to go out of my body a little bit more, but
well,
it's definitely something to look into.
At the end of the day, if those bikes can go over 20 miles an hour, speed limit on town streets is 20.
Yeah, it's pretty common to, if towns are allowing them, or counties even, are allowing them on sidewalks, to limit them to 15. Otherwise, you get a speeding citation. And helmets, of course, another big piece. And then anything that's throttle assisted as opposed to pedal assisted, which get into the nitty gritty details of it, typically aren't allowed anywhere except for on the roads. So I think those are all things to take into consideration. I can draft up some ordinance language and get it out via email, get some feedback on it.
Yes, please.
Thank you. My other thing is I'm getting a lot of complaints about people who have paid for their golf cart stickers and don't understand why everybody doesn't have to pay for their golf cart stickers. Is there any way we can, I thought we set up an ordinance bureau. I thought we have a interlocal agreement with Elwood. Why are we not utilizing those? That office takes the blunt of everybody who wants to complain about everything. And it's a lot of the same things that are coming in right now is the electric bikes and the golf carts. I paid my $50 for my sticker. Why is Joe getting to ride around on his golf cart? He's never even had a sticker. It may seem minimal. Maybe they'll only get $4 out of it. I don't know, but we've got to, if we're going to do for one, we got to do for all. And I get tired of listening to the same complaints over and over because nobody else is doing anything about it.
I can speak to this a little bit. I know that there's a ordinance on the books specifically about golf carts and requiring their registration to get a sticker, and that's yearly. And it also establishes that the police department is in charge of that. So if there are complaints, they should be directed, specific to golf carts for the public, should be directed to the police department rather than the ordinance violation, the complaint department, just because the police are in charge of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the police aren't doing anything about it, and that's the problem. So, if you complain to the police, where again is the accountability? Same thing with the kids riding around driving the golf carts that are clearly not old enough to be driving the golf carts. And if I back out of my driveway on Vine Street and I hit one of them, I'm going to be just as traumatized as the parent because I hit this kid and I hurt this kid and there's no protection. So how I understand that we don't supervise the police, but how do we create accountability?
They do pull over golf carts. They rarely give them a citation because they just try to educate and not punish the people.
Do they check
So-
their insurance?
I can't speak to that. I haven't been with them.
Insurance on them also.
I haven't been with them when they pull somebody over. But that is something that, the bad part about it is, like most things, you can't, for a violation like that, you can't call town hall and say, Joe Bob at 819 this street doesn't have a license on his golf cart. It's one of those things they got to catch him doing it, is my understanding. So I know based on the number of complaints that I've received from people that feel it's wrong they got pulled over on their golf cart, that I know they do it. So it's the amount that they need to do it, or do we need a different way to patrol or enforce golf carts is probably what we need to do, because big black truck, easy to spot. What's a different way to do it? So, and we can follow up with Chief and try to come up with a different program for enforcing that. So
What color are the stickers right now? Sounds a silly question. What are they? Could we get like a lime green or something very noticeable where if someone doesn't have it on the front, or they all gotta be on the front left, front right, something that's very
Right.
noticeable, right?
yeah, I don't know the current color.
And my apologies, I don't either.
I don't
Diane and Lisa send them out. I can
My wife
text
wants
you.
one, but we don't have one.
A golf cart or a sticker? I think they're gold, to be honest
Okay.
with you. I think they're gold.
There's a gold, yeah, there's a big yellow sticker, and then I think the year changes.
It changes every year, whatever.
So,
It might
kinda
be
like the
helpful.
lesson.
I know like in the forklift industry, we like using orange ones. If they're not buckled, it's very clear to see that, in passing. So
I just think they need to be a new color every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe they need to alternate bright colors instead of
Orange green, orange green.
Not like the state when they do this year's dark green, next year's light green.
Right.
Maybe we have the chief start putting on his report how many golf cart stops they've done.
Yeah, that is not an unreasonable request at all. So,
Diaz will have them all.
yeah.
And I'm not, please understand, I'm not anti-police. I'm not. But as much as we have an image problem on just about every other board, we have an image problem in the police department. They're not as popular as they think they are. And quite honestly, we really need to address the fact that there's just not a level of accountability there. There's just not. And I get it that we don't supervise the police and so on and so forth, but it's got to be fixed. So we got to figure out an answer. How we partner with the chief to make it clear to him what the overarching town goals are. And this is a great example.
Okay,
Alright.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Okay, the Reedy bills. I just need a motion for you guys to go ahead and allow me to pay them tomorrow. In the amount of $13,892.50. They will then, if you can, will vote to allow me to pay them tomorrow, then they'll show up on next month's docket.
I'll make a motion to pay the Reedy bills totaling $13,892.50.
Second.
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Anything else, ma'am?
That is everything I have on my list.
Very good.
Just don't forget to get with me after the meeting and let me know if you can make the September at 7 o'clock, second at 7 o'clock meeting.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
You good? You good?
Yeah.
You good?
For
Seven?
September 2nd, yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, approval of minutes. We only have the July 16th, correct?
Correct.
And we already did the others.
While they're reviewing those, Teresa, thank you for taking on the agenda.
Oh, you're welcome.
And it was wonderful
Oh,
to have one email with everything in it. Before I had to be there.
no problem.
All right, entertain a motion to approve the minutes for July 16th as presented.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
All right, next up, the approval of the allowance dockets. I'm sorry, approval of the claims. Sorry. Does anyone have any questions on the claims as presented?
I cut off. I couldn't see it. I'll make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Second.
Chad,
Abstain.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
All right, and from the Department of Redundancy, the allowance docket.
I'll make a motion to approve the allowance dockets.
I will second.
Chad,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
And we already did the executive sessions. All right, council members, comments and concerns.
You have something, because I got a list.
Yeah, I just go, I mean, the new guy here, new person here, but I listen a lot, the last few months of recorded meetings for years. So I'm just a little curious, I guess, when it comes to, we gotta have money to do grants, right? We've talked a lot about grants and having matching funds, things like that. I guess the big question I have, and just some observations, I've asked a lot of people this question, and why is Owens Brockway not part of the town? Does anyone know that answer? Probably.
So
How that works.
it has never been annexed. There was a belief by folks in the past that leave it alone, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole, was exactly the words I was told by a previous council member when I asked the same question 7 years ago. Considering that building would single-handedly double our tax base, one business would double our tax base. Every time it apparently comes up, the county gives them a big tax break to stop them from wanting to go anywhere else. So they changed the laws on annexing. Forced annexing is very difficult and legally expensive. There is starting to be an attitude at Brockway with new leadership that they are more welcoming to the possibility. And with current potential legal issues, we are waiting to see how that all flows out. But ultimately, it is, it wasn't in the town 109,000 years ago when it was built, and nobody ever took the time to go, hey, come on over.
I just gotta think, we sit here and look at the coffers, if you will, right? And that's gotta be playing a huge factor. I just don't understand why we would allow someone to use our water and kind of abuse the system with it, it seems, especially the rate they're using it, to not be included. We don't get in, they're in 2021, it was an 87% property tax abatement given by the Madison County Council. I guess I questioned Rob Steele, our council representative, in that manner. How does that benefit Lapel? How are we benefiting from this situation? And I think when you look at that and you wonder where we have the money to do grants and do development, I think you're seeing that we might be handcuffed right there.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2031, that abatement ends. Part of that abatement agreement was to maintain 216 full-time jobs, and I believe to produce about 2.5 million units a day. We happen to know, are those two being fulfilled and still valid right now?
We wouldn't, because
Who
it's
checks on that?
that would be the county.
It's all county.
Yeah, that's all county. We have no power control over them other than their water. So it's.
Is there any way to look into that and confirm? So the county council has a meeting coming up. Is that something I could attend and go ask that question?
I theoretically, yes. Okay. So on that topic, it's the. Let me make sure that I word this right. Coca-Cola did recently land the contract, or they landed the contract for Coca-Cola. That's why the Village Fair had all those Coca-Cola trucks with Brockway. Since Coca-Cola started the first glass bottle operation in North America down in Indianapolis, they were picked. So there's getting ready to be a massive investment in the plant, also for upgrades, for them to be able to fulfill that. Right. So, but yes, as far as somebody, obeying the rules of their agreement, they're not our rules to enforce. So it's not our place to get involved.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, because at the end of the day, if the county goes, oh, you're not obeying the rules of the abatement that you were given, that's not necessarily going to make them want to come over to us. because I doubt we would be giving an abatement equal to what they're getting from the county. So,
Right, and that's why I guess it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, I guess, call me an outsider coming in, right? It just doesn't seem right. We're not receiving anything, but we act like they're part of town.
I'd like to part of town for the water.
Well, right, but, so that at least my other questions about, well, we just, sold the citizens gas, right? I think Citizens also does water. And I think I've asked you that as a public before, of why, was that ever explored?
The reason for selling the gas company was the amount of regulation that was involved with it and the insurance cost. It was much harder to maintain that. The liability of, flooding a house is a different cost than blowing up a house, just in the simple term. But that was, the gas, because of the price fluctuation, because we as a small entity could not buy gas in the same way that Citizens could, it was not sensible for us to maintain a gas company. In the entire state, we were one of, I think, 6 remaining municipal gas companies. And all of them are small and all of them have the same problems that we had. So that's it. Whereas water is, when I say this, water profitable, we don't lose money on water like you would lose on gas. It's easier to maintain that operation and keep it up. So the flip side of that is, the infrastructure that we have for water, having only about 20 or 30% of the piping in the ground being less than 70 years old, we would not receive the same level of return that we did for our gas company, ultimately. So there'd be less immediate impact or benefit for the future. But, right now, the water and sewer are a major part of keeping the town alive. So
That's all I have. I just think it's really something to look into, and if we gotta go to Madison County to do that, I guess, I think it's really beneficial for this town to get involved with that.
Bringing them into the town has been something we have discussed and proceeded down the avenue multiple times since I got on the council. And
that's what most of us do, right when we joined.
Mhm.
So you're on par. You're
you're right there with us. Because it makes no sense.
Right. Well, I guess the question would be, if they need the water,
Double charge them.
or get your own water, right? I mean, if they're not, yeah,
right.
I mean, I
if it were that easy,
sure. Well, again, 2031, that 10 years up, that is if they're abiding by it. I have questions because I've counted cars over there many times. I'm kind of a freak about that, but I don't. I have suspicions.
No,
so
I don't disagree with you, but they get an abatement about every 10 years,
sure,
like clockwork.
It's a lot of money though. I mean, that could be, and I think going back to why we don't have money. I mean, I think that's a big reason right there, and it's probably no secret to you guys, but
yeah. No, there's multiple facets in the past that have led us down the path we're on. So, and we've definitely done the research on how to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's
we're pursuing it.
it's not an easy process. It's not for the weak.
Jenny, you mentioned a forced annex. Is that something you guys have explored?
That is something that the state changed the laws on several years ago. It was very easy to force annex someone.
It's very easy to do so.
Used to be. It's the same reason Ingalls now is out on 13, because before they changed the law, you could just go, we're going to annex this 6 inches straight down the middle of that road. And we're going to go 8 miles outside of town and we're going to annex that thing. They've changed the laws around that because there was shenanigans in the annex world, and they've made it pretty impossible unless you have the talented loophole finders. So
I'm saying, you guys really weighed the financial kind of outputs versus what that would bring back to the town?
So in an instance like that, so when a county or an entity gives a tax abatement, so that is just the county that gives that tax abatement. All right. So if they were added to our tax roll, if you look at your property tax bill, it's the same thing. You have the county, you have the town, you have the township, you have whatever that waste district is that takes 10 cents, and all those different entities. The pie would just be divided up, and Madison County would still have their big chunk that was being abated, and we would just get that sliver or whatever was left.
So you have
We don't have the actual numbers, but it is something that we have been working with them to pursue a voluntary annexation into the town. And they have been receptive to that in the last 2 years.
Jumping on that, I mean, to force someone to annex, they still have they have an ability, English, late night. They have the ability to say, if they own more than 51% of the property, to say, no, we're not doing it anyway. So there's a point that they have to be willing to do it. And so long as they continue to get huge benefits from the county, there's.
Was that a thought about when we put that in the parks plan? Like they're a significant portion of the future park, like allegedly,
I can speak on that part. So that is part of the parks plan, was to ask them to voluntarily annex, and they declined. The goal is we have in the process with Dan and the new sewer treatment plant our hope is to have the old golf course donated to the town, stormwater park, and then give a piece of the land for the sewer project. But until Brockway is willing to do that, and many conversations have started and then they died at Brockway.
Yeah.
The good news is they've recently had a leadership change locally. They've had many over the years, but they finally have some leadership that is sticking around and really putting the effort in. In my life, I've been associated with Brockway Glass 3 times. One in Pennsylvania when I was a kid in Brockway, 2 in Winchester before moving to Lapel, and then 3 being in Lapel. And this Brockway has not been like any other. I mean, you go to these other towns that they have plants in, they're like, hey, we just bought a brand new fire truck for somebody, and we just donated a park, and we did all these things. And those guys are just over there doing whatever. So this year has been the first time they've really been active and even sponsoring the baseball teams and all those things. This is the first year they've done that with that new leadership.
Would the donation of the old golf course constitute more than 51% of the property?
Well, there's 2 ways that they can stop it's 50. I think it's technically 60. It's 60% of the total property ownership, like land area, or it's 80% of the assessed value of that's coming in. So
and the other issue is the way the property lines are out there. It's the property line goes through the building, through the golf course, and it is a hodgepodge mess of lots out there that all of that would have to be fixed as well. So, but new leadership out there has been receptive. We're hopeful, but it's plan B on the back burner. But they definitely even the plant manager said, we're not in town, but we're part of town. So.
Can I ask a question from the public side?
Sure.
Outside of park board, say that we do annex Brockway closes next year. What then happens?
Well, that's typically what happens when people lose their abatements. So I wouldn't want to force a company to lose their tax abatement.
I mean,
if they voluntarily come.
You get stuck with the environmental cleanup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brockway was literally a coin toss on whether Lapel would close or another location, and we won the coin toss. So something to think about.
Yep. Luckily, they got that new contract.
Yeah, I would argue. I mean, not in 2026. Where else would they go?
Right.
Constraints. I mean, there's not too many places to go. So.
Yeah. But yeah, much effort has been put in on that conversation over the years, and it's always good to keep it fresh.
Sure.
So
it's all for me. Sorry to
no, you're fine.
This.
Oh, I'm interested to know your thoughts, Lindsay, on the possibility of exploring a water selling the water utility. Do you share Chad's opinion that it's not worth investigating?
I think it's always worth investigating. I mean, to see, like, if we put feelers out for finding out what people want to pay for it, what the advantages would be for them and for us to do it. So I don't think anything is ever I would never shut it down, the conversation, but when we've had it in the past, it just wasn't financially motivating for anyone.
Is there a cost to exploring that?
Typically, Dan, this is kind of Dan's department.
There is a cost, not a great deal. I mean, it would be more coordination in dealing with who wants to do it. You'd have to prepare it, just similar to what we did with gas. We prepared a bid. We took bids from 2 different gas companies and went through and evaluated them. We met with both of them, interviewed both of them, vetted both of them very well, and so there is some cost, but it's not onerous. You probably spent $20,000-$30,000 on the whole thing, and you got a $4.3 million check. We could start looking into that. There's probably only 2 companies that would be interested.
I just question if whether or not we should take it completely off the table without investigating it first, especially if 3 out of potentially 5 of us aren't opposed to the idea of looking into it. I don't know if we want to spend 20 grand on that, but is there something that hasn't been mentioned here that you see as a potential downside to Sally?
Water and sewer, gas is a little different animal. Water and sewer is, as Chad said, it's the lifeblood of the town. It gives you autonomy on your utilities. A lot of towns don't like to even think about water and sewers selling those because now you don't control rates. And that's a good thing. That could be a positive. So rates we'd have to look at rates and what it would do to rates. My guess is you would have a larger base to spread rate increases over rather than just in Lapel. You do have a lot of work to do to the water system. And I don't see Lapel being able to afford that without significant grants. And those grants are going to be tough to get.
Mike, did you want to say something?
Have you seen any municipalities sell their water recently?
Is Westfield the last one?
Whitestown did. I was heavily involved in that one. They got $37 million. But Whitestown's not Lapel.
They had like Glacier Pure Water too, didn't they?
Well, they got it's different water.
Just being honest.
Well, look at the number of customers. You guys have like 800 customers. They had 6,000. It's a little different. So I've been involved in a couple other places like Nashville, Montpelier. They were looking to sell their water. They decided not to. There were a lot of different factors of why they decided not to.
Do we have a pilot on our utilities here?
A what?
A pilot? I guess not.
I don't think anybody can fly.
So a lot of times in utilities, there's a way to transfer money out of your utilities to your general fund using what's called a pilot. That would be something for your financial advisor. A lot of towns like doing that because your water treatment plant, your wastewater treatment plant they own land that's not being taxed. And so because of that, you can institute what's called a pilot and move money from your utility into your general fund to open it up. The problem though with that is when you're doing your rate studies, and your financial advisor much more than I've just been in enough of these meetings that I'm a little dangerous. And you got to also have the revenues to afford that. But a lot of municipalities, that's one of the things they like is being able to move money like that into the general fund, especially right now with the CA1 impacts coming down the road.
And realistically, since you guys all have so much more experience with this, I'm just asking. Take Citizens, for example, which I think Citizens comes down to like 500 or something, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's say we potentially reached out and they were interested in buying us. What's the likelihood that they would be willing to, as a part of that process, or likely to connect the utilities to provide that additional service that we're not able to provide? and potentially open it up so that we could develop that corridor?
It would probably be very similar to when we ran gas all the way to 700. We spent $300,000 to run one gas line to have 2 customers on it.
Well, we did that, but I'm saying,
Right, but it's the same. It's the same thing. If there's not a customer base for them, anytime somebody, you'd have. That's where a developer comes in and pays. When the new addition over here was put in, all of that was paid for and put in by the developer. And so it's going to take a partnership between the developer and the utility, whether it's us as water or Citizens as water or Indiana American Water or somebody like that. If they come in, they're not going to come in and just hit the ground running and say, all right, we're just going to spend $40 million for the fun of it, to upgrade your system or to extend it. So that's part of the balance that you have to have when you go into a deal like that. The other thing we run into is if we lose our water or sewer, all right, we get funding from the state for one street department person. One person cannot plow our streets and take care of everything that we would have in town. And right now, those utilities, the staff that we have is what helps take care of the town. So there is a very big drawback because just selling those, yes, we would have funds from the sale of those entities, but that would not necessarily provide for us in perpetuity to be able to staff and make sure that we have the folks on hand, because even with the staff we have, keeping the town plowed is just depending on how the snow goes. So that's part of the drawback that if we were to lose that, Westfield sold their water utility and built Grand Park, which was the Grand Spectacle, and then practically went bankrupt because they no longer had their water utility. So there are a lot of, it's what do you do with the sale? I don't think we're building Grand Park anytime soon. It'd be nice to at least pave a parking lot. But that's part of the what we've looked at in the past. When I've talked to previous consultants that we've had, the first words out of their mouth were, whatever you do not sell your water and sewer. And that's based on that person's opinion.
That may be the case. And I just playing devil's advocate here. I'm less pressed about the state not giving money for utility because there's other sources of money that we could use, if I'm understanding correctly. If we want to hire utility people, just like we hire town managers and just like we hire planning directors and anything else. We might have one less police car, but we could probably afford a utility guy. But here's my question. If we can't afford to run the utilities to develop those areas, and we know that developing those areas is what's going to grow the town, what's going to put revenue back, and we can't afford to make the infrastructure repairs, what's the harm in investigating whether or not we could negotiate a deal, even if we didn't get a big cash return? If we could get those two things handled, that in itself would be a huge benefit to the town, because then we could attract people to move to town and we could increase our tax base with residential and we could maybe attract business and we could develop that corridor and eventually grow our, TIF funds and, you know what I'm saying? Things that we can't make a move on because we're stalemated. What if we could negotiate a deal like that, selling that water utility and get that moving?
I know what I've been advised.
I mean,
and my
is
opinion
that
is
a
no,
possibility?
but I'm not the only one.
Well, I'm asking, is that a possibility or is that an unlikely pipe dream? Like, that's all I'm asking.
I don't have that answer.
Anybody have any experts?
It doesn't hurt to inquire.
First thing, never ever take anything completely off the table forever. I mean, maybe there's probably something that exists out there you want to never put on the table, but in this case, like options we should always talk about them. I think when they come up.
I think we should put feelers out so we're not talking about hypotheticals, especially if there's not a huge expense initially to find out if Citizens in particular, who happens to be so close, would be willing to negotiate a deal like that. I personally, that's my personal thoughts. I'm one vote, but I say that simply from the standpoint of I don't think we have enough actual information to make a decision. All we have really is opinion. Some more educated than others, admittedly, but it's still opinion.
Anybody else
That wasn't even actually on my list. That was just.
or anything else? I should say.
Oh yeah, I got a list.
Okay.
Okay, so Brandon, right now, Brandon's kind of out there in limbo. Like Katie said, they've lost their liaison, and Lindsay's going to do parks. But you know, Teresa is a clerk treasurer. Teresa shouldn't have to be the utility liaison.
I've been working with Brandon.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
Nope.
he's got somebody that
Brandon
he
has
can
had
call.
more effective communication in the last 3 weeks than he's had in all
Okay.
year.
I just want to make sure he's got somebody he can call, because like when he's asking questions and we're all sitting here like, yeah, we'll get back to you. Like I want to make sure he's getting answered.
Yep.
All right. Town manager. So where are we on that? I talked in February, March about a recruiting policy. We still don't really have a recruiting policy. We need to update the job description. We need to update the contract. Have we put out any ads or anything about getting the spot filled?
She just got her final paycheck tomorrow.
Okay.
So as far as moving forward with that stuff.
We had to
can
wait
start.
for that. Okay. And so like, will that be done in a regular meeting, or will that be like, what's the process for that?
I don't have that answer. We can have an executive about it. We can have a regular meeting. We can do, it all depends on how we want to discuss it and who we want to be in the room.
I mean, I don't care. I just want to make sure that we're moving forward on it. That we have like a kind of a game plan of when we'd like to be able to get something out to try to backfill that position.
I think that'll be part of the budget discussion
Budget
as well.
discussion. Okay.
Because there's been some suggested format changes to it that would be greatly beneficial, that would combine, maybe the town manager and planning into one entity. And if we're combining budgets for that, that gives us a greater pool to pull from. Got that right. That's one of the
And we
options.
can talk about that at the budget workshops, what you're saying? Okay.
Yep.
I won't be there to that.
Got to know what we have to spend ultimately.
We're going to be coming up on salary reviews again here in just
Mhm.
a couple months, right? Where are we on the performance reviews that we said end of last year we wanted to do? Actually, last 2 years that we wanted to do. Have we got anything together on that, or if we heard anything back on that?
I have not been a part of that. I know I've been waiting for AIM to send out their salary study for the salary ordinance.
Brandon, do you want to meet? We got to do Pacer stuff with Lisa pretty soon. We can meet and just set up. We talked about it before. I'm sorry, I dropped the ball on that.
No, I had multiple emails from Jenny about that. She sent me a form that we wanted. I mean, multiple emails about it, and nothing ever went forward. So, but yeah, I'm more happy to sit down. And
I'll
talk
set
about
some
it.
time in addition to that Pacer stuff and
Yeah.
give you what I got.
Okay. Questions on road work. I know as we're heading into budget, this is something I kind of wanted to ask about. I know we have the Pacer study, and I've had some conversations with some people. For one, I have concerns. I appreciate the beautiful rendering of Central and all of that. But I've also had several conversations with people who live out in the county, and we haven't really done much. And I know that when we've talked about it, the thought process is that some of those projects are so big that we can't afford to do them. But there are some differing opinions that maybe there are some things that could be done in the meantime that would buy us, 3 to 5 years to be able to do the larger project. Here's the issue. I'm not a road engineer. You've told me before you're not a road engineer. Do we have an engineering study to say whether or not we could chip seal some of these roads, or are we just
Drive them, and you can tell you can't chip seal them.
see? I don't know.
Most of those
I'm not-
roads out there, when you drive up to that road, it's dirt.
Mhm.
The subsurface is gone.
Well, the reason I ask is like some of the people I've talked to have said that those roads have never been paved, that they've only ever been.
So, and I actually have a ton of information on this.
Okay.
Okay. So, the issue is, yes, there are some roads out there in the annexed area that never previously by the county were paved correctly. All right. And for the last 10 years, the bulk of our budget for paving roads has gone to the area that was annexed. So, that's why, we alternated. We do Main Street. We did 1 year, and then the next year we did 500 going this way. We've done 650. We've done 700 got done. I mean, the bulk of our road money has been spent out in the county. So we actually, because of the great expense. So for example, to do 800 south of 38 down to 700, that road is in such disrepair that to fix it correctly would be, and this was 3 years ago numbers, $2 million. All right. So we did an experiment on 500 south heading east of 13. If you drive down that road, it's paved 3 distinctly different ways. All right. And what they did was the first section was full depth reclamation. The second section was something in between. The last section of it was they took it down to dirt and put a mountain of asphalt on it. All right. Which was the cheapest option because they only had to mill 2 inches of old asphalt off and they were at dirt. So in the discussion with the engineers at that time, getting their opinion, they said, we don't know how long that section's going to hold up. They can tell us that, what was that? What was the thing we did on the other side of 500 where it did that was the full depth. So the first section was just complete road build. And then it was full depth reclamation. And then the last section was just a bunch of pavement. Ultimately, when you do a full depth reclamation or a complete reconstruction, you get that the gravel layers and the drainage and all those things. So that last section of 500, while, I think it's 3 years later, is still holding up well. And that's with, it gets some heavy traffic from time to time. That is, at that time, it was the cheapest option of the 3, but where a full depth reclamation, they say, well, that should be a 10-year road. They don't know if doing that way is a 5-year road or less because there's nothing to stabilize the ground underneath it.
What's the price difference?
I would have to go back and pull what we did at that time, but it was considered like if we would have been able to, it probably would have saved us $1 million over the length of that mile if we did it that way. But there's no guarantee that it didn't fall apart again in 5 years. So it's one of those things that you have to balance. One of the issues we ran into last year, we did a bunch of road repairs without grant money. So we spent $40,000-ish to do some repairs outside of going for grants. And for the amount of money we spent on those repairs, if that would have been matching money, we lost a half a mile of road to fix 150 feet. So that it's one of those things that's real difficult to balance. The road engineer that we used to have wasn't the best, and there's a reason we don't have them anymore. So that's where Banning is who we've brought in now to work with us on roads. We were not able to get the Central Avenue plan for this year in before the community crossings. So that is something that in the spring we need to be prepared to be able to go big on. But with the funds that we have currently available, we were only going to be able to do about 3/4 of a mile.
So I think I need to do some more investigating research on this because I admit I don't know a lot. That's why I'm asking. I would ask though, do you also have to balance whether or not you do a cheap 5-year fix or whether or not you can stand to wait 10 years for something? If it's in that kind of shape now, what's it going to be in 5 years or 10 years if it's going to take us that long to get the money to fix it? Yeah, we've got to do something.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean,
could I speak for a minute?
Absolutely.
That's where the Pazer study is going to come into play.
Okay.
It's just like the map that I brought last
Yeah,
month.
I was looking
It
at
has the class that they have taken will tell them how bad the roads are. It'll take. It's not written in stone that you have to do Central Avenue. It's not written if it comes down to, okay, we've got enough money to fix these 10 roads that are in the red or whatever you want to, I don't know what the colors mean. I didn't take the class. But if it means, okay, we just do where you grind the top off and just put a surface down, and that will hold Central Avenue over for the next round in 4 or 5 years to be able to do a project that size. The part a lot of people don't understand is our tax rate dictates how much money we get for local road and street, for NBH. And you'll find out when we have the budget meeting, we don't get a lot for MVH and local road and street because of where our tax rate was set back 6 or 12 years ago.
Right.
So that's why several years ago, when Central Avenue was probably the worst road in town at the time, it was going to cost a lot of money to do it. That's why at the time, the council, which I was on the council at that time, we decided, okay, we're not going to do anything for 3 or 4 years. That will get us enough money that we can come in and we can do that road and get it done. I don't know what the answer is for 800. I mean, it's pretty, I've been down it. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
Nothing left.
I'd be concerned about just the farming equipment going up and down. That could be very costly, and I'm sure people here know that.
Right.
I took my Mustang up there. It's not fun.
And one of the things that we have to balance when we're looking at that is the traffic and the number of citizens. We have an obligation to take care of as many people as possible. The last thing you ever want to hear is, when you hear about, oh, well, the mayor's road got paved and nobody else's did, but there's 2 things on 800. There's a house and the dog kennel, so when you look at the traffic of it compared to a Central Avenue or pick other road that's whatever the bad color is on the PASA rating, part of what we have to do is we have to take care of the most people, get the most bang for the buck. It's the road to nowhere theory. We don't want to spend all our money, Noblesville, everybody thought Noblesville was nuts when they put that road behind Meyer that connected the Meyer Road not good on my Noblesville street names. But it was 15 years before they had a building built besides Meyer and the movie theater on that road. Mm-hmm. And to this day, they've added 1 neighborhood since then, so they spent a lot of money for a future hope that took forever to show up. So we're in the position, we just have to make the decision that's right for the most citizens of town. So, and to make sure that, we're not going to pave the road, we're going to tear up and do pipes in next year, so there's part of that planning as well. So
there is some calculation, like Brandon and I just took this class on Tuesday. So, but there's
real fresh in the brain.
Yeah. there's some tools they have on the site that we haven't even had a chance because we haven't met and seen what we even have yet. But there's some tools where you put in like the ratings, what's wrong with it, what's built on. Here, if we do this patch, this will give us another 6 years of life.
Oh,
and
it'll tell you that. That's what I meant. Yeah.
You have to do it yourself, but yeah, you build in the figures. But I think we can get there, and that's what I want to talk to you after. I've got some ideas, but I think Dan will be a real instrumental tool, not regular tool. Instrumental. I think I called you a tool at one point. I was like, I said that wrong. So, instrumental and kind of building that stuff so we can forecast out. If we can just fix this road for 4 years, then we'll have more money. I mean, we'll have to pray and hope for that money, but
Gotcha.
It can tell you how long that road should last, barring combines going on it every day.
I get
Flooding.
I get the thought process that we have to serve the most people with the money we have. And I do understand that. But we also have to take into account that we get tax money from these people that live on these roads that don't get much travel either. And we do owe them a responsibility to keep our promises, to provide them safe travel. So while I get what you're saying, I'm saying you have to balance that. It can't always be about, but I understand. I also took under serious advisement the conversation we had about Central with regard to not having the forethought to negotiate for some money for the damage that would have been done to it during development of Tuscany. So I got that in the back of my mind going forward from a planning perspective as something that I want to kind of talk about, like how can we make sure that doesn't happen again? So, okay. Two more things and then I'll leave you alone. The next one is, I think we need an IT review of systems, backup systems, equipment, and a recovery plan. And I say that understanding that that's not what Dan does.
Correct.
Dan's an application guy. He's a web tool guy. He's a AI guy. I'm talking about, tornado hits tomorrow, flood hits tomorrow. Do we have what we need to pick up and carry on going forward?
Answer is no.
I can tell you, I knew that before I even said it.
Town manager and Teresa met with multiple companies and no recommendation was ever made by town manager. It was not pushed forward.
Okay. I think given the fact that in the last, less than 18 months, we've had a tornado hit town and flooding in two towns less than 7 miles away, that should be a priority. I don't know. What do you think? Is this something for budget discussion or is this something that? Okay.
It's a budget discussion.
I will say one of the guys that Jenny had talked to showed up at town hall while I was up there today and said, "Hey, I've never heard anything back. I've tried to get with her multiple times." He goes, "I just want a yes or no." So Diane said, "I'm not sure." So, but Diane does have his card.
Teresa, I'd be happy to help you vet some of those out. And I mean, that's not my forte, but I'm well versed in that. I can at least help talk the talk.
And I work with one of the companies personally that was interviewed and know the other company as well. So
maybe we'll get a hold of them, have them come back in and.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And looking at SCADA, like the water plant runs off of SCADA, and IDM is getting really, really big on cybersecurity, right? Because all these foreign countries go after small municipalities because we don't have the cybersecurity that big people have. Luckily, not a lot of stuff is run, no chemicals, anything like that are ran off ours. But to get an IT person in here that can oversee us with
an
that,
assessment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is kind of another one of those things that it's not pretty and there's not something necessarily to show for it, but let the worst happen and I guarantee you we will wish we had. So, and I never would have thought that we would have got hit with a tornado or that Pendleton and Anderson would have flooded. So now I think, yeah, it could happen and we need to be ready or we're going to look really stupid. Okay. And then the last item. This is uncomfortable and I want to make it clear that this is not personal, but the conversation regarding Chad's residency has not died down. And I think I have made my agenda clear from the first meeting that I attended that my number one priority is transparency and accountability, that I think we work for the people and we owe the people complete transparency on this. I was really disappointed in the way that we responded to it from a legal perspective when we were questioned on it. Having talked to the attorney, I believe that the process is that as long as there are 3 council members that are in agreement, other than Chad, who would need to abstain, we can vote to have a public hearing. So I would like to make a motion that we have a public hearing to discuss Chad's residency and whether or not it disqualifies him from remaining on the council. And if I don't get a second, that's fine, but I feel like I have an obligation to the people to make the motion.
Could we get a little more background on it at all?
I can give my thoughts on it. If Chad wants to speak to it.
I'll speak to it since it's about me. April 2nd of last year, a tornado decided to throw a 75-foot maple through my house. I live on a legal, non-conforming lot in the annexed area of town. And first, the battle with insurance lasted 6 months. Once that was done, I worked with a developer to get custom blueprints made to be able to rebuild my house. Then at the point of pulling permits, the representative of the county health department said, well, no, you can't build. So knowing that that was not correct, because the state code allows for small lot septic systems, I have been in a battle trying to find a company to work with for a very long time. In the meantime, I have temporary residency outside of town, which is lawful and legal, as I have made every attempt to return to town, which is what the law says is required. To the point where I found a septic company in mid-June that was willing to work with me, and they have worked with the county health department to the point where we now have a viable location on my property, and they are in the design phase for septic systems so that I can build the house that I had blueprints drawn for a year ago. So the question is, since I don't live in town, since I did purchase a house in a different municipality that is not my homesteaded property, but I am fiscally responsible enough to know that throwing away $1,000 a month on rent versus owning what I'm in and then selling it when my new house is ready, that is a much wiser investment. So I have followed every step of the law through this process. There have been multiple challenges to my residency. Individuals formerly with the town, individuals outside of the town, residents, have challenged my residency all the way to the state election board, to the county election board, to the county Republican Party, all the way to filing charges and trying to have me arrested and go through the prosecutor's office, saying that I have been unlawfully paid by the town through this entire process. Through every step prior to purchasing my temporary residence, everything has gone through our town legal to make sure what I was doing was legal in that process. So as we sit here today, I have a septic system being designed. I have blueprints already for a house that as soon as everything is clear, I'll be able to build and come back to Lapel, where I have owned and lived for 14 years until a tornado took my house. Obviously, multiple other people have been affected by that and still haven't even had a chance to start rebuilding either. The only difference is they're not elected officials, but what has been afforded to me for temporary residence is fully legal. And William can speak to that, our other attorney, Jeff. And that is not as them being my legal representation, but representation for the town to make sure that the town did not allow me to do something illegal. All right. So because I've made every effort, I continue to make the efforts, I am allowed to be on this council. The county prosecutor agreed that there's been no misgivings, and that is my position. That is the position of legal. That is the position of the county prosecutor. And if we would like to challenge that further, I have all the documentation that has been provided to legal for all those matters that can be made available, not to the public, because I'm not releasing my personal information to the public, as we are not required to do that. So.
And here's why I've raised the concern. And again, I have whatever the law says is what I'm going to. Whatever my personal feelings are really don't matter. But I will say this. I will say that when you read, as a layperson, when you read the IC code is extremely clear and crisp. And so as just a person sitting in the audience, I can 100% understand why they would listen to all of that and go, that's not what it says. What I had hoped was that William, when he was asked the last time would speak to why the IC code is not the end of the road in the conversation. Because I think the public deserves, and I've shared this with him, none of what I'm saying here today, by the way, it should be a surprise to anyone other than maybe Jeff, who I haven't talked to about it. I think everyone else has heard my opinion on this, so this was not in any way intended at blindside Chad. But the public deserves to understand a full explanation of why what they're reading, what they're able to look up, is not the final answer. And I feel like they haven't gotten that. And because of that, it continues to fuel mistrust. And so in asking for the public hearing, I am not asking for Chad to be necessarily removed. That would be a decision that's made by the council after the public hearing. What I am asking for is a full accounting. If you, it's similar to what one would expect if they were to go to a trial or a hearing, which is the way that William described it, where they understand the legal position on why this is okay. I mean, I'm sure that you, as a logical person, have read the IC code and you're like, yeah, I can get why they think that. So, and I think that they should be provided with the case law so they can take it away and investigate it themselves and see nobody's hiding anything, that it's not a legal ploy, it's not a game, it's not trying to cover something up. This is really what it is. And I don't understand, I feel like by not having done that already, we have, again, stepped on our own tie and not just put this thing to rest. And so as a result, the conversation continues to be had. Just because it wasn't necessarily brought to the meeting doesn't mean this is not a conversation that is not a snowball gaining ground out in the public. And until we are 100% transparent on that, it's not going to end and we are not going to be able to move forward. And that is why I'm suggesting this. Not because I want to put your public business on blast, but because I feel like the public deserves a full, clear understanding of why this is what it is. But again, all I can do is make the motion. It's up to you to decide if you want to do that.
What was your motion?
My motion was to schedule a public hearing to discuss Chad's residency and whether or not it should disqualify him from participating on the council.
I'll second it.
Chad,
Abstain.
Lindsay,
What does this public hearing entail? Is it
It's a trial.
potentially just
It's a
what?
trial. It will be the three of you, and I mean, I can't imagine if we have the fourth new member. Surely not by the time we have this, because we have to meet the open door policy for this being a public hearing. So we've got to set it off in the future. Of course, can't happen tonight. And then you guys present your evidence, and Chad presents his evidence as to why he's a resident. And then you guys vote on whether or not his seat is vacated.
What would have to happen for his seat to be vacated?
A majority vote. It is then appealable by Chad. I mean, the same way that a trial would be. It'd be appealable. He could take it to the court to put on his evidence there that this is why I am a resident. I am domiciled in Lapel, and that's what, if you guys were to vote that he wasn't a resident and vacate his seat, that would be the remedy.
How quickly could we set a public hearing for this?
10 days? Public notice
We'll
requirement?
have a new person September 1st. Do we have to do it before then? Seems like it would be fair to include that person since it's so close.
Yeah, I don't think it would be, I mean, it's at your discretion when you'd like to have it noticed for.
Because 10 days would be the 31st anyway, if we're gonna have the caucus on the 1st.
Right. It makes sense to do it after. But let me double check. No, 48 hours. Sorry, not 10 days. 48 hours. You just need 48.
Public hearing?
Yeah, it's not a public hearing. It's a public meeting. Same way that this is.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a
Okay.
hearing. It's a meeting pursuant to the statutory code. I guess legal's input on this, like has already been indicated. I mean, I can prepare a legal memo if you'd like it put out to the public that indicates the case law, but it's our stance, and as Chad indicated, the prosecutor, and I mean, it's pretty open and shut. Domicile is what controls residency. Like you said, Christy, the code says you have to be a resident. The way that you determine residency, according to the courts, is a domicile test, which is a totality of the factors, and you look at a whole bunch of things that go what your driver's license says, where you hold yourself out to live, where you intend to return is a huge piece of that, one of the largest pieces. Where you get mail, where other people would say you live, are all factors that go into it. And when you look at the totality of the circumstances, it's our legal opinion that Chad is very clearly returning to Lapel, and he's done steps to make sure that it's not in dispute that that's what his opinion is. That's what he intends to do, and therefore it's open and shut. He's a resident of the town of Lapel. Anything else legally?
Mentally, not legally. I don't think it's gonna go away. And I think we'll get it out there and vote on it. Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes. I will say the way you just explained that, Will, I mean, if that's the case, then it should be a pretty quick, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's what we would anticipate.
My concern is dragging Chad through a bunch of hell that he's already been through because of
Already been
tornado.
through something. Yeah.
Your tornado already destroyed your house.
The
But
fact that he goes through all of this and is still willing to sit at that table in front of everybody speaks volumes.
And I want to be clear, this is not about skewering Chad. This is about, we need to get past this. And until there is clear, everything's out in the open, nobody can say, well, you hear, okay, the prosecutor made an opinion on it, but nobody's seen the opinion on it. So did the prosecutor really make an opinion? Do I trust that Will's telling the truth? Sure. But as long as there is pockets of doubt, pockets of information, until we can say we've done everything we can do, what else do you want?
That will never
They're
happen.
still gonna bitch. You know it just as much as anybody else. It doesn't matter
Congratulations,
what do.
you won a new car. Got to pay taxes on it.
It could bring millions of dollars, and people would complain that it wasn't the right nomination in this town.
It's a beautiful black car. Gonna need washed a lot.
But if we say this is who we are now, we have to walk in this is who we are now.
I think the biggest issue that people have in this town is transparency.
That's my
So,
point.
yeah, so if we're not willing to say these things, if we're not willing to have the conversation, it seems as if something is being hidden. Chad, you're very confident that you're a town resident. We're not arguing that. Us simply voting on it, you guys simply voting on it, it's only going to prove the case. It's only going to take you to a higher plane. Now, if it doesn't go your way, that's a different story, but it seems like it's pretty cut and dry. So again, in the full transparency of everything, it makes sense to have these conversations. It makes sense to start these applications or start these topics with backgrounds. People in here may not be familiar with what's going on. Some people may not have Facebook. Some people may not be on the social media pages to really have the background. So if I come in here, you guys start from, say, point B, I'm already missing half the summary. So again, transparency is key. Whether it's this case or any other thing, that's how you're going to gain some traction in this town. I agree, people are going to bitch and complain no matter what, but you can do what you can do to negate that.
Agreed. you know, I wrestled with this. I really did.
I'm not crazy. That's happening, right? I'm not. It's not my blood sugar getting low because I haven't had a meal in 6 hours.
Mine's getting low too. Mine's getting low too.
So try to get
All right. So anyway.
Anything else?
No. that's it.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second on the adjourn?
Second.
There you go.
All in
Jeff's first
favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.